Hang on, what was my this one? Hello, it's Friday here at least. We're doing movies tonight. 13 conversations about one thing. Which is kind of what we do on here, kind of the opposite of what we do on here. We have like 13 conversations about 100
20 different things. Yeah.
We have one conversation about 8 things. Yeah.
And then we'll do a stream afterwards. So around the movie will be at 5 p.m. Central, and the stream will be at 7 p.m. So, what's up? I just pulled up the news to see what's going on. It looks like Hunter Biden is being hit with tax evasion charges.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
not surprised.
no!
Oh no, yeah, shocking. I'm so shocked a wealthy person evaded taxes at some point.
Let's see. Anything going on in the world? Israel and Hamas are still fighting.
Yeah.
Something going on in Rwanda.
There's
Oh,
a
the
lot
U.S.
going on.
embassy in Baghdad was attacked
Yeah.
with rockets.
I did
No
see
casualties. Who did that? Iraq?
that. Probably not Iraq, the state. It was probably some unstate-related militias. Yeah. That's usually what it is.
Antifas and anarchs.
Though, well, no, they're probably, because it's in Iraq, they're probably jihadists, but they might not even have been Iraqi militants. They might have been Iranian. I don't know if Iraq doesn't have necessarily a problem with their own militants, do they?
I don't know.
I don't think they do. I know Iran does, but Iraq is actually slightly more put together than Iran.
I don't trust any
understanding.
group of people that willingly lives in a barren desert. I don't know.
Hey, Vegas was in a barren desert. I love
Yeah,
the
but
desert.
it was surrounded by casinos, which made it feel a little bit different.
So all they need to do in Iran and Iraq is just put a bunch of casinos everywhere, and it'll make everyone
And
more
fake
comfortable.
grass, yeah, fake grass.
There you go. There you go. Well, won't
Well,
happen
it looks
while
like
they're run by-
that covers politics for the day. Unless anything else, anybody else has anything to add?
No, good
Anything
stream,
going?
guys. Good stream, guys. I'm glad we did this.
Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year.
Oh, was that were the game awards?
That's
Yes,
D and D,
Yeah.
isn't it? Isn't that
Yeah.
in the D and D universe?
Yeah, it's from it's in the Sword Coast and Forgotten Realms. Yeah.
Oh.
Which I mean, to the shock of no one.
I thought about trying to play it, and I just never did. I don't know, like RPGs like that. Like I said, I played Elden Ring, and that was long enough. I don't think I can deal with the length of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, as I say, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of those, like, it's very different from something like Elden Ring, because instead of it being like a Souls-like with RPG elements, it's just a RPG. Like, that's what it is. It's like the combat's all turn-based, it's basically half of the game is conversations with characters.
Is it those like fake dialogue tree conversations? I hate that style of. I mean, I guess there's no other way to do it, but
yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I think Larian Studios does it the best out of like basically every, because they also did Divinity: Original Sin, and that was like, oh, such a good game.
I watched a bunch of videos. I've watched a bunch of videos with like showing footage of like some of the conversation stuff in Baldur's Gate 3, and it did look really good. But I'm sorry, compared to Disco Elysium, it ain't got shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
Disco Elysium, it just happens to be it's both like it's a RPG about philosophy, politics, and but with a character who's like a completely like raging loser of a drunk that doesn't like the first scene of the thing, you wake up like almost drowning in your own vomit, and you have to like the first thing you do is have to find your clothes.
Yeah. Well, that's I think the difference between something like Baldur's Gate 3, which is more the character who, like, the character is whatever you want it to be. There's no like there's not really like a set
Yeah, I know.
who you need to be. Yeah. Whereas like Disco Elysium is actually a story that they wrote. So it's a much tighter
And I'm
choose
having
your
a
own
lot of
adventure kind of
fun
thing.
doing the character creation for our RPG
And
thing.
really, what Baldur's Gate 3
Did
is
you
it's just a
did you get it
long.
created?
Yeah, me and Lindsay both created our characters yesterday, but then
Oh, you finished?
we
Oh,
were
wow.
stuck at the
Oh,
pharmacy.
okay.
I mean, I don't know if we did it very well. I
You
have a
created
feeling.
it at the pharmacy while you were waiting for your prescriptions?
No, we did that before we went to the pharmacy because we thought the pharmacy was
Oh,
gonna take like 5 minutes. We were gonna come back and do the thing, and then we were stuck there for like an hour and a half.
Oh, geez.
But anyway, but like we finished. I'm pretty sure we probably fucked up the characters a lot because I had no idea.
I mean,
It didn't really give me a lot of like descriptions on what a lot of the stats stuff meant. So I was just like,
it did on the
that's,
right, on the sidebar on the right. It
oh,
does. It goes into
I
great
didn't see
detail.
that.
Do you
I,
but it's hard to fuck it up if you went through the automated process because it
I mean,
it only
it
gives
may
you
not
the
be fucked up.
options
It just may
you're
not be
allowed
what
to.
I want it to be, but it's okay. You know, like I find like I don't know. I find it a lot more fun in this kind of thing because I know it's a lot more flexible with like the storytelling type thing. I get kind of like decision anxiety in video game RPGs when you have to build the whole character and you have to like fill out like a whole like skill tree and everything.
Yeah.
Because I know that if you fuck it up, then your game's going to be possibly boring or just way too hard or something like that.
Which
you
is
know?
one of the advantages of D&D, because I'm just going to say this, if there's a choice that, after we start playing, that you decide you wanted to choose something different, we can, retcon your character sheet however we need to, because it's not usually things like that aren't.
I couldn't find the class that you were telling me about though. What was it called again?
Artificer.
Artificer?
I couldn't find Artificer anywhere. I looked all over for it.
It wasn't in the drop down menu.
Mm-mm.
What did y'all use
How did you create a
I used the D&D 5e thing, like I thought you said I was supposed to.
Roll20?
Yeah, on Roll20. Yeah,
on Roll20? Wait, does it really
It
not
didn't have Artificer. How did you create a character then?
Should. Hang
I
on.
just created it with other things.
What class did you pick?
I need to pull it up right now and take it and look at it. I sent you guys like a screenshot, but I don't think it actually had the character sheet on it because I was trying to just go screenshot of the character sheet.
Oh wait, hang on. Did you create it in a different table, or did you create it in? Because I have on the table that we have, I have character sheets for everyone. On the Roll20 table, I made, like, I gave y'all each a character sheet. Jeff, have you seen that on the Roll20?
No, I just used their little character creation wizard.
Here, let me see if I
You
can.
talking about like go to your Saltmarsh game and it has
Yeah.
character sheets in there? Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
has
No,
character
I didn't
sheets in
do it.
there.
I didn't do it on there. I just did the generic ones.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Oh, so you may not have. Okay, so if you did a generic one, it may not have been the 5th edition D&D 5th edition
It's
thing.
5th edition, but it doesn't have Artificer. He's right.
That's weird. Okay, because it's on the table. If you go on the table, on the table character sheet, there is an option for Artificer.
So then I go to Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Yeah, go to the Ghost of Saltmarsh, open it up, and then under the Journal tab.
Here, this is like I shared my screen here. You can see what my character looks like, and you tell me how shit it is.
I
don't know how I end up with subclass.
This is the geek, the nerd hour, nerd part of the stream. So if you're not a geek or nerd, go get a beverage or something.
Anyone who's not watching the stream, if they're not a geek or nerd, I'm not sure how they got here, but okay. Yeah.
Okay, so no, I see this. This is what the character sheets look like on the thing. Just you'll want to do it on the Roll20 table. Though I think you can import this.
I pulled it up. I pulled up Saltmarsh. It's giving me a map, but
yeah,
I don't see
on
how
the
I get to the characters.
So on the right of the screen, there should be a little tab for Journal.
Okay.
If you click that, it should have a thing. You should be able to see a bunch of characters, and it should have all y'all's names.
Where?
So if you open,
we just manually fill it in. It's not a wizard.
Oh no! You can't. You can do a wizard. It so you'd have to. Oh yeah, I have to recreate. I have to give you a new one to if you want to do the wizard. I know the wizard isn't like perfect. In that like the wizard only works to it only automatically adds things from the like core rule book. So like if you were to like want to play as like I don't know um if you wanted to play as a goblin, the goblin race isn't in the core rule book. It's in one of the other books, so you'd have to, you know,
And so is the
use.
artificer, I guess.
Yeah, and so is the artificer. Artificer's from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So although like you can change things around. It's Roll20 is a very versatile. Oh, Jeff is gone.
Sorry,
Oh, there he is.
I meant to turn my camera on.
Oh, no, you're good.
So
I'm about to eat, so I'm
look
gonna
over
eat.
my sheet and tell me how bad it is. So let me start with the top here. I have no idea how subclass the fiend got added because I don't remember choosing that. So that must have been added.
Fiend is the default subclass probably.
Okay, fiend. Okay. So my class ended up being warlock. I'm a half elf. I have
It's
All
interesting
these
to see that
elves.
strength 1.
yeah. I don't know. I was trying to min max and it ended up being still not min max. So I don't
Those
know.
scores are deplorable. Why don't we just do a character creation? If we're gonna
Yeah.
manually fill it in, we might as well
Yeah.
just do a character creation session.
Yeah, and I can walk y'all through each of those steps as well. It shouldn't be too difficult. You just need to get on the Roll20 the Ghost of Saltmarsh table, and then we can just go through because the character creation, especially if you have someone walking you through it, is relatively simple.
I mean, we used to do it with a sheet of notebook paper.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really like a lot of these things either automatically get added or are like, you know, not necessarily like necessary. Like the personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws are like that's for you. That's like
Oh, we don't need those. They don't have any game effect.
yeah, they don't.
Oh.
It's literally just for you and your own kind of idea of like building your character. That's not like a yeah. Some people do use it as like, oh yeah, you know, if you put down your ideal, you have to play that. And it's silly. You write down your things. It does give you suggestions for things based on like your backgrounds and stuff, but you know, you don't have to use those.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's just plan on doing a session one day.
I think whenever I was doing it, if I'm not mistaken, I think what I was thinking was I didn't really need I didn't need a lot of I was thinking that I didn't need a lot of strength because my whole set was supposed to be around like trying to like cast things so like that. So I thought my strength wasn't. But see, that's why I'm saying I don't know anything about
Yeah.
D&D.
Somebody needs strength because I don't have much either.
Well, I mean,
Lindsay's been.
You don't really.
Elf has been working out.
You don't need strength to do anything. Now, you might run into.
Well, you need him to
where,
fight the monster. I have a 12. I get a +1 bonus. That's it.
Well,
I can't dodge roll in this game like I can in Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, I would do the thing where I would start out with like the naked guy character, you know.
Yeah.
He's got nothing but a loincloth on, and then just like
Yeah.
and just use that for like the maximum amount of dexterity and speed, and then just like roll around everybody and like stab in the back. So
it's
I know
worth
I can't do
noting,
this game, so
Jeff, that in 5th edition they changed finesse rules slightly. So you know how like there are some weapons that you use your dexterity as your to hit bonus.
I noticed that.
In 5th edition, you when you have a finesse weapon, you don't just use your dexterity for the to hit roll, you also use it for the damage roll.
That's why I took a high dexterity.
Yeah, so you know, as long as you're using a dagger or a short sword or a ranged weapon, you're gonna get your dexterity bonus to hit, and you're gonna get your dexterity bonus to damage.
Right.
Which makes like ranged characters actually quite powerful, because you can basically do the same amount of damage as someone in melee, but from further away. And you have sneak attack too, so you know you're just gonna like be doing all the damage.
and a
Yeah,
sharp.
yeah. The rapier is the sort of the default best finesse weapon because it's just yep. And for what it, also we can it doesn't have to be a rapier. We can mechanically use it as a rapier, but like you can say it's a different kind of sword or whatever if you so desire. If
Look,
you
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 guys
had
can make your characters as sexy, folks you want, but I think making a rapier just seems weird, though.
Well, then don't take one.
It was
That's
a
the option.
joke.
no, he's making a joke. It's yeah. But yeah, no.
My character already has a mustache that makes him look rapey enough. I just don't think that being rapier is going to be an advantage for me. I don't know.
What class was Lindsay gonna be? Because I know we have a rogue, an
A
artificer,
bard. She's a high elf bard,
bard. Okay,
so she'll keep us entertained while we're
yeah.
exploring the haunted house.
Bards actually have at least one of my favorite spells, which is Dissonant Whispers, which is like it does psychic damage to people. Like you like basically whisper the person's greatest fears and they take psychic damage and then immediately run away. I love
Because he
that
got
spell.
triggered.
Basically, yeah. It's like all right, this person probably it's like if the person has PTSD, it's like it triggers their PTSD and they immediately take damage and run away. It's really fucked up.
So it's
But
like an
it's a ve-
anti-safe space spell.
Yeah. Oh, and also bards get my favorite cantrip, which is Vicious Mockery, which the verbal component of Vicious Mockery is literally you just say an insult and they take psychic damage from the insult. Like your mom's fat and they take psychic damage.
God, look at how
Yeah.
this diesel jeans I'm putting on. Look how wide these fucking legs are. These are like jean coats.
Those are your pants?
No, these are like ones I
Bell
have for
bottoms.
sale. These are diesel. They're like 10-year-old diesel jeans. Like they have like
Y'all,
these.
take a look at this gem, this steel that's up for grabs.
Hell yeah.
I was like, I can't believe how wide the legs on them are. I'm like, dear God, I could fit 2 people inside those legs. But the waist on them is only a 31, so like you couldn't. So most people couldn't even wear them. But shit.
Oh god. Only a 31? What?
I mean, I used to wear 28 and everything until like my depression pushed my weight back up to 200 pounds. But
Because you ate to like.
no, I wasn't eating that much really. It was like it's really the fact that I can't exercise because of the vertigo. I was in really good shape when
Oh,
Oh.
I tried to take his character sheet off, but it took him off with it.
Oh no.
Sorry, Chris. Just come back on.
Oh gosh.
Okay, go
weird.
ahead. You
that was weird. It just kicked me to
it
the
did just kick you. It just you were
Hit me
talking
in the
about
street.
your vertigo and
No, I was
losing
just
the
saying,
weight.
like, the vertigo made it where I was doing the VR exercise thing every day, and then that
Oh,
must be
so
the-
from lack of activity.
yeah, it's like a lack of activity. It's like I really don't eat much any day because like my stomach is tiny. I can't eat very much, but like it doesn't matter if you can't do anything to burn calories off.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have kind of the opposite problem of when I like am particularly depressed or burnout or whatever, I just don't eat at all. And that's actually how I got under 200 pounds again, was like going through such bad burnout that I just wouldn't eat hardly anything at all. And I lost like 10 pounds.
Oh,
I've barely been eating lately, and yet I'm not gaining. I don't lose weight unless I'm active. Like
Yeah.
so, the reason I ended up having the stomach sleeving surgery in the first place is because like I was working at Amazon, working my ass off every day, and my diet was like super like it was like super like small diet of mostly like high protein, like low carb, low all this sort of stuff, and I was gaining weight like crazy. I had ballooned from like under 200 to almost 350 pounds in the span of like 4 months, and it made no sense. And I kept going to the doctor, and they were like, yeah, you've got some sort of hormonal imbalance. Like we suggest this, and they suggest the the thing where they cut off most of your stomach and everything, and
Yeah.
it did that. Yeah, and it fixed my blood pressure and it fixed my sleep apnea and it fixed my weight for the most part. But yeah, and if I can get to myself hard and exercise again, I lose weight really fast. But
Yeah.
it's just like I have to be able to exercise, and right now exercising on my feet, I can do like stuff I can do stuff on my back and stuff like that, but it's just not.
It's
It
not
doesn't
as
work. It doesn't
yeah.
work. It doesn't work out my body as well. So like, yeah. Anyway, that's boring. But
No. I get it. I mean, I try and keep myself as active as I can. I'll like go on walks, and when I'm hanging out with like my polycule, we'll like all go on bike rides and stuff. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of places to do that around here, so I'm pretty lucky in that regard.
fuck bike rides. I had nothing to ride but a bike for a while when I first moved to Vegas, and I used to have to go get groceries and that son of a bitch. And
Oh
dear God,
God,
it was just fucking that ruined bikes for me forever. Because it was
fair.
like the where I lived was at the top of this really long hill, and the grocery store was at the bottom of it. So going to the grocery store no big problem, but getting
Coming
back from
back.
the
Oh
grocery
God.
store with a bike, it was just like,
They had a hill in Vegas.
yeah,
Yeah, there's hills
out
in
there,
Vegas.
out there in like off Blue Diamond Road.
Oh,
It was out in the boonies, but it was like in the suburb boonies. The
Yeah,
boonies of
actually,
the
there's a lot of hills out in like those areas. Just usually they're not in the cities. Usually the cities are like built apart aside from the hills.
well, it was built in a valley.
Yeah. The same thing in God, what state was that? Was it Arizona? I think it's Arizona. Like yeah, like all the cities are like built in all the valleys, and then all like the towns and suburbs are all built on the hills around them. Which is like gorgeous. Like it means if you live in one of those suburbs, it is drop dead gorgeous because you can like see, like for a long ways. It's actually makes those areas makes that giant deserts look beautiful.
The only thing I really liked about living in the desert part of living in the desert, I liked Vegas fine, but the only thing I liked about living in the desert thing was the fact that nobody had lawns and it wasn't like important for you to have one, so you
God,
didn't have
yeah.
to worry about grass or whatever like that. And I don't like doing lawn work. So
Lawns are the fucking worst things. I hate like lawns as in like the idea. I don't hate the idea of having green space around the where you live. I love that. I just don't like lawns.
but yeah, they're kind of an unnecessary part of American culture that like I don't really know how it got so.
There's nothing wrong with lawns.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. I don't like them.
I don't
I
like
don't.
taking care of them. I
Yeah.
don't mind. I just don't like taking care of them. There's that. This or that. Anyway.
I find them I find them more boring than like other things. Like I like bushes, I like gardens, I like that kind of stuff. The just having just flat grass in front of your house is just kind of
You gotta be careful, man. Like talking about bush and flat grass in the stream, you're gonna get a fan for sure.
God.
So, what are we talking about today?
We're apparently just bullshitting and having a good time is what I thought we were doing. I don't know. I was up way too late talking to Adaptable and working on tons more clothes like this all night, and then I'm still trying to get done with. I still have another tub worth of shit to put up, so I can take it up to the storage unit and drop that off later, and so I get it out of the house because my house is just filled with clothes right now. And then I figured for the stream we would just just sit here and just like literally just babble nonsense at each other until we got bored.
I could talk about how I keep getting reminded of how the Apostle Peter is in every way superior to the Apostle Paul.
Hey, there you go. Actually, me and that's funny because me and Daphne were just having the same conversation because the Apostle Peter was one of those badass people of all time in all of history.
Hell
Like
yeah.
anyone who's like they're like, we're gonna crucify you. He's like, fuck no, you're not. You're not crucifying me in the same manner as my Lord. You're gonna crucify me upside down, bitches.
Hell yeah.
Like people think it's badass whenever the dude said like yeah, I regret. My only regret is I have only one life to give for my country. How about like crucify me upside down?
like fucking metal as shit. Also, he was like, he was the one disciple who, like, at the Garden of Gethsemane, like, all those, fucking bitches were like, "Oh no, Jesus, you're getting arrested. Oh no." Peter's like, I'm gonna fucking stand on business. Fucking cut off a dude's ear.
Yeah, he pulled that sword out, and Jesus was like, "No, hey, don't do that. This is part of the plan, man. I thought we talked about this." He's like, "What? What?
Peter's like,
They're stepping up on us."
oh god, love Peter. Paul is, the apostle, not P.F. Young. P.F. Young, based in
No,
cool.
no. Well, okay. So first of all, Paul was an apostle. He was a disciple.
No. Paul was an apostle. He was not a disciple. Peter was a disciple.
He never walked with Jesus.
Yeah, no. The disciples are the ones who walk with Jesus. The apostles aren't necessary. There were apostles outside. Yeah,
God,
it's
I must be tired.
it's weird terminology.
I always think of the apostles as the ones that walked with Jesus and the disciple, because I always think of like anyone can be a disciple.
No. The apostles specifically are the 12 who walked with Jesus. The apostles are what came after. They're the people who went out, and because Paul is an apostle, even though he never met Jesus.
Well, how about that? You schooled me on some basic Christian shit today that I thought I actually knew, and I was talking like that all night, and I was wrong the whole time. So
the source I'm reading says apostles were the 12 and disciples could be anybody.
Ooh, we got some beat.
That's weird. Okay,
that's from Christian.net. There's also BibleOdyssey.org.
Okay,
huh? They have to say.
Well, for what it's worth, most of that knowledge comes from me learning it in a Baptist church. So I will say.
It says in the New Testament, apostle. The word apostle in the Greek is usually reserved for the 12 men Jesus chooses. So in the New Testament itself,
that was my understanding, but
that word is reserved for only those 12.
Interesting.
And disciple comes from an educational context and is similar to student.
That is weird, though, because the church does refer to him as Saint Paul the Apostle, though. That's weird.
All apostles are disciples, but not all disciples are apostles.
Well, yeah, of course the Catholic Church does. The Catholic Church desperately wants Paul to be an apostle because it justifies all of his bullshittery that he brought back into the church after Jesus went out of his way to dismantle all that stuff to make the church a more egalitarian, equality based thing. And then and Paul came in and was like, nope, women don't speak and men rule the thing, and all the rules are back from all the Jewish stuff. And
I will say
some of Paul's writing is beautiful. The Corinthians thing about love is very pretty and everything, but beyond that, fuck that guy.
Honestly, this is one of the things I hate how you know how red text in the Bible is supposed to indicate the words of Jesus, and how in Paul's writings there's a not insignificant amount of red text, which is the most bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life. Because what the fuck does Paul know? He never met the guy.
Not to mention the fact I don't know which one makes me more angry, that part or the way that the Catholic Church decided to retroactively make Peter and others the official pope of the first pope of the church. Whenever
it's just a book. Why does any of it make you angry?
Well, because Peter was a badass and he didn't deserve to have some douchebags 300 years later be like, oh yeah, you were actually the first pope.
So it's not the Bible that makes you angry. It's whatever the Catholic Church did.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. That's I don't care about the Bible.
The Bible is just a book, and book, and it's a fallible book, and it has plenty of parts in it that are wrong, and they're just like that. I literally I discard I only consider 9 books of the New Testament to be truly divinely inspired to any degree, but at the same time, Catholicism is bullshit. So.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Jeff, what I said that other. I mean, sure, yeah, it's all opinions. But what I said the other stream about why. The reason why I don't like the King James version, even though it is objectively one of the prettiest sounding versions of the Bible. It's absolutely like a very, very
It's a literary masterpiece.
yes. However, the the translation work that was done was basically garbage.
The New Century version is really good, and it's
It
actually
wasn't garbage. I'm studying it right now. It definitely was not garbage. It's one of the most scholarly works of English literature.
they a lot of portions of it were translated from the Latin versions,
Well,
which
I'm gonna trust. Let's see. I'm gonna trust. This is the Norton Anthology. I'm gonna trust all of the Bible scholars that helped put together this book before I'm just gonna go off of you.
I mean that's
Okay.
fair, I
Like,
guess.
They make a pretty convincing case for me. And not only this, there's other books. There's, Shadow of a Great Rock. I have what's the other one? Herbert Marks? No, that's this guy. Anyway, I have several Bible scholars that make very convincing cases for the
King James.
for the scholarship of the King James.
Interesting. I'll have to check those out. I mean,
I'm also a literary student, so I can appreciate the literary quality of it and the contribution it made to all the literature that came after it.
I mean, I can too. I also, though, think it was also like absolutely a version of the Bible that was made for political purposes more than anything else.
I think like the New Century version, for example, that was translated.
No, it wasn't the only reason, but like
to me, you're like emphasizing the least relevant elements from a literary perspective.
I mean,
I think the New Century version was translated directly from the Hebrew, and it's just as beautiful as the King James version, and it gets certain terminology.
Yeah, if you want an accurate version, the Jewish Publication Society puts out these little versions that are more literal translations, but that's not what the King James was trying to do anyway. It was trying to translate it into an English idiom.
Yeah, I know. And so the New Century version did the same thing. It was the same. It had the same exact goal as the King James version. It just did it from the original Hebrew text, and it got a lot of the terminology better, more correct, and some of the coolest technology. Terminology like the everything with the Nephilim in Genesis is correctly translated in there, and it makes it a lot more interesting.
Well, yeah, but again, the purpose of the King James was not a literal translation. So
I know it wasn't.
If you take it for what it was designed for, it's a masterpiece. If you want a literal translation, there are better literal translations out there, but they lose the quality that the King James version brings to it.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely lose that sort of, I guess, the literary cohesiveness. I think
it's different, but like I said, the New Century version is a poetic version, is a very similar to King James. It just gets some of the translation better. That's all. I'm not saying the King James sucks. I'm just saying I just prefer. I've probably read, I'd say 20 different translations of the Bible over my lifetime. So I mean, I've read quite a few, and the three that I would go back to that I would read the most is King James, NIV, and New Century. Those are the three that I think are the best. So some of them get way too like poetic-y and flowery and turn it to make it sound like it's a historical fiction novel or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't care for those myself. So
and then some of them also like God, I can't remember which not New Living, but there was some version that like I don't know, it was really weird. It emphasized certain words and phrases over others. And it was supposed to be like something that was like easier to read, but I feel like as I was reading it, I feel like a lot of the, I guess, meaning behind a lot of the verses were kind of stripped away because it was like it was supposed to do that thing where it's like it's translating it into like modern vernacular, but not. I don't think it didn't do it justice. I don't think
there's several translations like that. There's one that's called, I think, just called like the Word or something like that. It's literally it treats every single.
Oh my God! I think it is the Word. I think it was the Word.
It's kind of cringe and embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah. Like I had a physical copy of it too. I don't even know what the fuck. I think I might.
All of mine are at my parents' house, but I used to have a rather large. Just because I was in church leadership and stuff for years and stuff, and I would get at least one Bible every year for Christmas for most of my my formative years. So like I have tons of different Bibles and translations and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, same. I even actually we had some Mormons who were family friends, and they got me a one of the Mormon Bibles for my birthday one year, and that was actually a really fun read. It's the Mormon Bible is definitely very very interesting.
It's definitely a fun read considering it reads like Bible fan fiction written
It
by like an 8-year-old. Yeah, it's very fun.
does. It reads like it's trying to be Bible fan fiction,
An
and
8-year-old. That's not fair. 8-year-old. I should say a 13-year-old. It seems like a 13-year-old that wrote Bible fan fiction. And I have read the Book of Mormon as well, and I think it's maybe one of the funniest books I've ever read because some of it's just there's just things that happen that make no sense. It's just and it all has all the earmarkings of bad fan fiction like you would see for like I don't know.
yeah, you look at
Well,
fanfiction.net and like find some shitty fan fiction, and you'll find some probably comparable quality writing and or at least some comparable storytelling uh, in the Book of Mormon, which is funny, and it's probably why, at least in my experience, Mormons tend to outsiders de-emphasize the effect of the Book of Mormon and sort of more emphasize, oh, we follow the Bible though. The
and
Bible,
if you're really good when you die, you get like your own planet and you can have like unicorns on it and stuff, and it's like really cool. And like you can be like a superhero if you want to be. And
some of their stuff is a little wacky, though. At the very least, they're better than Jehovah's Witnesses. Um,
yeah,
those are really the only like two, I guess,
at least Jehovah's
Christian
Witnesses don't ride around in like in like weird pricky looking suits and like on bicycles and come to your door and then if you're like, oh, it's okay, I'm already a believer or something, then they do that thing where like they really obviously like shake the dust off their feet and you're just like, I didn't even say it's not like I said I don't, it's not like I said like I'm placing the curse of Lucifer on you or something.
oh god.
I didn't attack you or anything. I was just like, oh no, I'm already a Christian, thank you. And then they like go like as though the dust of my I mean I did have a really dusty porch. Maybe that was the problem.
What's that superhero Orgasmo? That superhero movie?
I love Orgasmo.
That was hilarious.
Mostly I just love the song on the credits at the end of it. You're a manly man. Is it the size of the dick in your pants, or is it the size of her titties? Yeah, it's probably the titties. Yeah, that song's amazing.
Hope we don't get a copyright strike.
I don't think I sang it well enough for that. Don't worry, I sang it really badly. It's from their the band that they formed that called DVDA. So, you know, I think we all here can understand what that means. So, yeah.
DVD? You mean that ancient technology?
I love how like there's a documentary where Trey Parker and Matt Stone like they were like, yeah, we have this band called DVDA. It's about it's about this really special activity that anyone can do with three really good friends of theirs. No, sorry, four. Any woman can do with four really good friends of theirs. I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
God, love to see it. I do want to.
Did anybody watch the new South Park thing? It was actually a lot better. It was not like the obvious. It didn't go with the obvious like. It does make the jokes about Disney replacing all the characters with like diverse female things. It does that, but it goes a lot further, and the most of the humor is actually about something completely different. It's really worth watching if you haven't seen it.
I've never laughed at South Park. I've tried several times.
I might check it out.
High. I've tried stoned. I've tried on mushrooms. It's never made me laugh. I don't get the humor. It just seems like like cartoon kid humor.
I don't know.
I mean,
back in the day,
And I love Beavis and Butthead. Like I totally get their humor. I don't know why I don't get South Park.
Yeah, I don't know. Way back when the South Park started, I could see that, but like in more recent years, South Park has grown up a lot. I think
it has.
It's a lot more. It's gotten a lot more. I don't know, subtle and intelligent, I guess, about the satire it does. But it's not always hilariously funny. But it makes I'll just say like the main crux of the new one is isn't really about the diverse character thing. It's really about the fact that nobody in South Africa or anywhere else in the world knows how to do anything like in terms of fixing things. Nobody knows how to fix anything or do anything practical anymore, and they all rely on handyman. Handymen become the most powerful people in the country. That's the joke of the episode, really.
Based.
So your basic rooter guy is basically the equivalent of Taylor Swift at that point, or Elon Musk.
I don't even know why the fuck. Apparently, Taylor Swift is now Person of the Year, Times Person of the Year.
Yeah,
which,
why?
like, I'm not.
I mean, I like Taylor. I'm a Swiftie, but why?
I mean, yeah, no, I love. Actually, no, you know what's fucking crazy? Okay, so growing up, my sister was like the biggest fucking she's a girl in the South. Of course, she was like an enormous fucking Swiftie. But then, like, Taylor Swift grew up, and now my sister like hates Taylor Swift. Like, I will bring up Taylor Swift around my sister just to watch her like pop a blood vein. Like,
the only whenever 1984 came out, is that the one that had all the big hits on it, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
that's when Shake It Off. Shake It Up. Yeah.
When that album came out, like, I was working at this movie theater, and like my manager bought it, and she played it in the office every day on a loop for like 2 weeks. And I have to say that considering that, it was a pretty good album. It didn't annoy.
It's a great 80s pop album.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure that it's really that even the 80s. It's just a solid pop
It's
album.
very 80s.
I mean, I don't know, it didn't sound that 80s to me, but still I thought it was good. But then she did one track with Bon Iver.
I don't know what 80s you grew up at.
Okay,
it's
well,
maybe 80s. But anyway, yes, go ahead. But
I just said that she did one track with Bon Iver after that I liked, and beyond that, I haven't really liked anything else she put out. But I mean,
well, that's what, like, she was more popular around that album than she is now. So, like, if you're gonna make her Person of the Year, do it 10 years ago. Why now?
Yeah,
I think they probably did 10 years ago, but
I don't think they did.
No, they didn't. Okay.
Like, I don't know what she's doing now that's more impressive than what she was doing back then.
I was gonna say,
all of a sudden,
the most.
I always hate to say that Kanye West was right about anything, but he is kind of right. He did kind of make her famous.
No, the quality of her music alone is enough to explain.
She was a country pop star though before
she doesn't need anyone to make her famous.
I will say,
puts out really good music.
I think like the most, like, I guess, significant thing she's done in like the last several years was in 2018. She was like she got like something like 60,000 of her fans to go vote. And just like vote. Cool. She just like was like, yeah, like she had this whole thing where like she was like encouraging her fans to like get registered. You know, she wasn't encouraging them to vote any specific way. She was just encouraging them to register to vote because it's important. And it was like, wow, cool. That's neat, Taylor. Great use of your platform. But then, like, that's the last thing she's done of any relevance, I think.
But then secretly she told them all to vote for Hitler.
She told them all to vote
dead.
for
I mean, he's been dead for a long time, but she thought maybe they could bring him back. You know?
Yeah.
I know she doesn't like Hitler or anything. I was just like,
no. She's a.
Or she was a Trump. She actually swore Trump or something like that. It'd be really funny.
I don't think she did. She's like she's like this like pop feminist kind of vibe, which is like cringe, but like whatever. Like, eh.
That Look What You Made Me Do song really annoys the shit out of me.
It's catchy.
I mean, catchy in the sense like a virus, like it gets stuck in your brain. You can't get rid of it. I mean, it's catchy, I guess.
You just made me do what you just made me do.
What?
I'm now singing the song in my head. It's now stuck in my head. Now that you've reminded me of it.
I don't know that. I mean, I have no real issue with Taylor Swift. I must admit, I've had my doubts about how much of her songs she's really responsible for, because they sound a little bit too slick for me to believe that she's like.
Why is it sort of believe she's talented?
Yeah,
she's talented. I'm sure she's talented. They're so produced so slickly. That
I mean, she does work with other like producers and stuff.
I will say, like,
that guy from Norway or Iceland.
her more modern stuff very much is more of a collaborative effort, but especially like her early stuff was absolutely primarily the product of her. Um, uh,
Fair enough.
that was like, I mean, that was like a big thing. Was like, yeah, like she wasn't just good at singing and good at like putting on a performance. She was like a prolific artist broadly. Um, and now she's like famous enough that you know she doesn't have to do all of that herself. She can collaborate with other people and create obviously very good quality art.
Pop music. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know. I would, I'll say the one pop artist that has surprised me the most, not the recent album, but the album before that, with like Beyonce's Lemonade, absolutely blew me away.
I love her recent one too.
Her recent one, I haven't heard more than just that one song, but that
it's good.
But
yeah, Beyonce's good. I like Beyonce.
Break My Soul song annoys the crap out of me to like no end. Every time I hear it, I cannot reach for the dial.
Which song?
That Break My Soul song, where like you can't break my soul, and all she says that is over and over again. It sounds like some sort of repetitive '80s dance track that like would have been used for like Muzak or something like that. I hate that shit. But other than that, I thought Lemonade is like one of the most.
Lemonade was good too.
Ever made.
They're both good. She's also a distant kinfolk. We have a common ancestor. She's Caucasian.
Oh, is she? I did not know that.
Yep.
Interesting. That's wild. Yeah, I don't really listen to a lot of pop anyways. Like, or at least I don't follow a lot of pop is probably better. I definitely listen to tons of pop, but like I don't follow it.
I don't either. It was just like one of those things. Like whenever I heard, like I happened to come across like the first video for like that really avant-garde video thing she did for Lemonade, and I watched that and I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is Beyonce. And so I end up like watching like the whole thing and like actually like just being like blown away by like the level of artistry and work put into like that whole thing, especially since it's about her getting cheated on and shit like that. Like I thought it was like
all those songs are about getting cheated on.
Yeah,
all those songs are about people getting cheated on.
Yeah. That's true. That's fair. Yeah,
she's good. Rihanna's good. I like Nicki Minaj. As far as white girls, Taylor Swift, Dua Lipa, Robin.
Dua Lipa, yeah. I don't like Rihanna because I haven't heard.
Oh my god, her voice is absolutely just.
Her voice is great. I just think her songs are shit. I think
I love her songs.
And then I feel like Nicki
and Kylie Minogue did some really impressive stuff.
Kylie Minogue
did an entire album during COVID by herself on lockdown. She recorded and mixed this entire album called Disco that sounds like 70s and 80s disco. And
I've heard it. I'm a huge Minogue fan. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe she did all that by herself. Like she did the engineering, everything by herself.
Oh,
well, she's been a producer for a long time. She's produced a lot of her own stuff.
That was the first one she's produced.
That was the first one she had.
That's what made it so remarkable, is because she didn't have access to any of her team during COVID, and she wanted to see if she could do it herself, and she pulled it off.
Because like women, like artists like Imogen Heap, like they do that kind of shit all the time, and I'm impressed with them too. But I did not know that that was Kylie Minogue's first outing on that. But yeah, but like Rihanna's voice is great, but I just think her songs aren't very good, and I do think that
I don't know what aesthetic universe you're living in. Rihanna's song not to be good.
I just like they're just a lot of them are just repetitive. Like Umbrella is one of the most like annoying songs.
Oh, I don't know a lot of her early stuff. I'm talking about like from the one with diamonds on it, Unapologetic on. She only did a couple of albums since then.
The Bitch Better Have My Money song was pretty good. That one's all right.
It's her later stuff. It's Unapologetic and Anti, and then the singles that she did since then. And she's coming out with a new album next year, I think. But really, it's her voice. It's like right there with like Janis Joplin, Karen Carpenter. It's one of those unique voices that you don't even know where it comes from. How can a human being have that kind of voice?
Probably from all those beatings.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Chris Brown was just trying to share his talent with her.
Yeah, that's what it was. God, what was the movie she was in? Was it Battleship?
Battleship. Yes.
Where she got punched in the face.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't.
She got hit in the face.
I still couldn't believe that. Like they put that in the movie. anyway, but it's that's whatever. But yeah, no. Well, I was gonna say like the other one you mentioned though that like the other one that you mentioned that I don't get like okay, look, I love a good female rapper. For example, Missy Elliott is in my opinion like one of the top 3 best rappers. Period. Okay, no, bar none. I think Missy Elliott's amazing. Nicki Minaj, on the other hand, reminds me of she has to me is to rap music what what's her name was girl that did Skater Boy. It's what Avril Lavigne was to punk rock. To me, that's what Nicki Minaj is to dirty rap.
But she's not just rap. I'm talking about her pop stuff, like the like album with Starships on it.
I guess I don't know. I don't listen to her. There's some. I've only heard the stuff that's been on the radio. And the stuff
Yeah, I'm only talking about her pop music.
Okay, well, fair enough. I don't know it. I really don't. I try to give anytime I hear about like a really cool new female rapper, I'm always excited to hear it because I think female rappers can like do things that male rappers can't. I think it's like an untapped market, and like a lot of the rap I do listen to is like kind of underground indie stuff. There's some really good rappers in there that still don't get that much recognition, but like I don't know that I know of one beyond Missy that I think that is just like absolutely kills the game though. But I could listen to Missy Elliott all day, man. Like her shit's just like it's even her stuff from like 20 years ago still sounds good.
I'll have to check her out.
What, Missy Elliott?
Yeah.
You never heard Missy Elliott before?
No, I don't. Again, so the way I listen to
you've definitely heard dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah, I've definitely heard. So
like, there's no way you haven't heard "Get Your Freak On" because that song was like everywhere for like 10 years.
Yeah, the thing is, the way I listen to music is, I usually will find like, 1 or 2 songs that I enjoy, and then I will incessantly listen to like that handful of songs on repeat for years, and only those songs, because I don't know, just gives me the dopamine. And that's how I listen to music. So I very slowly I listen to new music very slowly because I'll just listen to the same shit on repeat. And then like I'll go back and be like, oh man, the songs that I used to listen to like 8 years ago, now it's suddenly my new hyperfixation is to listen to this song on repeat again, just forever. Not a very efficient way of listening to music, but
yeah, if I hear like 1 or 2 good songs, it makes me want to hear their whole album, and then if the album's good, it makes me want to hear all their other albums. And so I was a completist. If an artist did 1 or 2 good, I had to hear everything they've ever done.
And it's always just really disappointing though whenever you do find that that 1 or 2 good songs that you love so much and you want and you go to like find the rest of their stuff and you find that none of it sounds like that at all.
Yeah, there have been some like that.
It's just like they made those 2 songs that were like that. It's not that the rest of the music is bad. It just is nothing else sounds like that. I hate that. It's just always.
That's back like when we were growing up. There was no way to preview music. You had
I know. I used to have to go. I actually had to go buy the CD to find out.
$10 cassette or the $15, $20 CD, and if it sucked, you were out.
Oh God, cassettes! I see. You know what's interesting? I do still remember cassettes. I had cassettes.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to make mixtapes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they absolutely.
All your friends would exchange mixtapes, or you make up to play in the car when you were going out or on road trips.
Yeah. Now, for what it's worth, that was more when I was like a lot younger, and then by the time I got into like middle and high school, everybody had switched to like CDs and stuff. But
CDs, yeah. But it's not. There's something about making a mixtape that has like a purity to it that you can't really quite match with like a playlist or a CD because it took work to make a mixtape. You had to get that. You had to get that too. You had to get like a CD,
the double cassette
recorder out, and like time it all up, and then you had to and it was important to decide your order because the tape, the way the tapes worked, if like they didn't transition right, like the blank space in between was gonna sound like shit, and so I like making mixtapes was like an art form for me. I love doing it.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was, and it kind of got, CDs are just
now you can't find tapes to do it with. So
yeah, I was about to say, I'm not even sure because
I make remixes. I would get like a cassette recorder and my sister's stereo, and I would play one into the other and pause it and
Huh.
rewind it and start it and stop it and make remixes of the songs.
That's sweet, dude. I never got that advanced, so I much respect for you on that. I didn't start doing remix of stuff until I started making music on DAWs on computers. So
Yeah, and
I
Yeah,
there
music was
was
fun back then. It was
cassette tape,
hands on. It wasn't something you just passively did.
VHS tapes. God, I still like my parents still have a VHS player because they still have, you know, the VHS tapes and shit. It's like when I go home, sometimes I'll like pop on some of our very few VHS tapes that we still have, like The Lion King on VHS.
I still have my
oh my
collection.
god, yeah,
Somewhere.
me and Jeff talked about it before. Jeff still has like a huge collection. I think my mom threw out all ours,
All my
but yeah.
my DVDs and VHS. I have all my CDs.
Yeah, now I have some. I still have some DVDs because DVDs were like bigger when I was. But like DVDs aren't even a thing anymore. Even
I know.
Blu-ray
Barely.
DVDs.
You can find it in the bargain bin in Walmart. That's about it.
You can
Yeah,
stream in just as good quality. And you don't
yeah.
have to worry
Like,
about hard storage.
oh my God, I was talking to my brother about this because he was looking at like getting a computer and to like, you know, watch movies and stuff on, and I was like, well, you know, aren't I because like I knew we had a big collection of like Blu-rays at the house, and I was like, well, don't you want to watch any of those? And he's like, but I can just stream them. I was like, just
I mean,
breaking my brain slightly.
I do miss like when I was talking about like the Three Kings thing. Like I do miss like the days like the whenever some of the DVDs had really cool commentaries and stuff on them. Although to be
Yeah,
fair, most of them didn't have really good commentaries. I remember like a couple of like DVDs I got that I was really excited for, and then I think it was a movie Rules of Attraction the main featured commentary was just Carrot Top, and he had never seen the movie. He didn't know what was going on. The whole commentary, he was like, "Is this supposed to be funny? I can't tell if this is supposed to be funny." It was really awkward and like it sounds awesome right now. Like explaining it, sounds like this would be this hilarious, awesome thing. It's not. It's
yeah.
very boring. But yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and DVD and Blu-ray at first promised that it was going to have so many more options and so many more like special feature type things because I really love that shit. I love like I was talking about that movie, the Kingdom of Heaven director's cut. Like whenever I had that, the DVD for that was like this 2 disc set, and the movie itself was like 3.5 hours the first disc. The second disc though had 6 hours of historical documentary research and behind the scenes footage on it that was almost as fascinating as the movie itself. And you just don't get that with like most Blu-ray stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
that's true with the streaming. I remember Laserdisc too. They were like this giant, this big, and you had to flip them over halfway through the movie.
Yeah, I remember them. I never had one. Our family was too poor to afford that, but yeah, I definitely remember them. We used to. I used to go into the. My parents would go into like one of those stores that had like the Laserdisc room in it, you know, and like I would always like ask like the clerk or something to like put Star Wars in because I would think it was really cool and like and then, but the thing is like you have to flip it over like after 15 minutes
Yeah.
and then so it took like 6 laser discs and like 3 or 4 flips to do it.
God.
And even today, like if we're watching something streaming and it even like pauses for a second, we're like, "What the fuck happened?" Like,
Yeah.
nobody in our generation has the patience for laser disc at all.
No.
Yeah,
God.
you ever watch Technology Connections? It's like this guy on YouTube that does videos about various kinds of technology and how they work and stuff like that.
No, I haven't seen that.
He did a whole series about video discs like before the laser disc and like like there was a time period where they were trying to push video on vinyl, and it's fascinating. You should look it up. It's like
Oh
it's
God. I think I know what that's. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody talking about that. I would actually love to learn more about that. That sounds really interesting actually.
yeah. No, just look up Technology Connections. He's a really cool guy that just does like a lot of like interesting videos. He does videos on things like how electric water kettles work and stuff like that. It's fascinating as fuck, and you wouldn't think it would be, but it really is.
Yeah, that's sick. I just recently watched this video about this guy who what did he do? He made a toaster, but like he did it by not using modern methods, and he went out and like mined all of the different things. So like he took a toaster, took it apart, figured out all of the different materials he would need to like do it, and like he went to an iron mine, he went to like a copper mine, he got some like he got oil. Now the oil he wasn't able to get directly from the source, but you know, um he like made a plastic mold thing. He had to make a forge so that he could like, you know, you take that the iron into like a workable iron. It was actually really interesting. And then the toaster then worked to slightly warm up a piece of bread, and then the toaster broke.
Kind of like that dude that did that whole thing where he made the sandwich from literal scratch by
Ah,
raising a cow and doing all that stuff with it.
yeah, that kind of stuff.
I appreciate the overall the message of that kind of thing, like going through all that to kind of show how impossible, how fucked we are if we didn't have the industry, the infrastructure we have.
Oh yeah, like we're probably fine with some things. Like I don't know, you can make bread from scratch pretty easily. Like
Oh yeah, I've made bread many times, and it takes. Well, the only thing that's annoying about making bread is that it takes a lot longer than you think it will, because to make it really good, you have to like make the dough and let it rest, and then you
yeah,
have to go back and knead the dough and fold a bunch of times and let it rest, and you have to do that like 8 times before you can actually make the bread. But making bread's not that hard, and it really is. It's kind of fun and very satisfying once you actually get the bread done. So.
honestly, even if you're like going from like starting from grains and stuff, it's not actually that difficult. Like it does require a good bit of labor, but it's not like complicated labor. It's like just, hey, you got to sit here and grind all this shit up, and then you got to sift it, and then you got to sift it again, and then you probably got to sift it again. Um, and then you have your flour, and that's how you get flour. Step 1 of 80.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I watched a lot of cooking YouTube videos, and I've watched a couple of them like where like the guys like ground up their own flour and did like the or made the pasta and the sausage and stuff like that. And every time I watch that stuff thing, I think it's cool, but at the same time, I'm also like, is it is it something? I mean, like I think I can remember this even if it comes if the day came and I had to do this, I think I could do it then. I don't feel like the need to do it now whenever I could
Yeah,
just get flour for a
just
dollar.
get
So,
flour. Yeah, yeah.
but
Like
I'm probably the idiot there because I probably one day will need to, and I'll probably completely forget because we won't have internet anymore or something.
yeah, that's probably fair. And then we'll be like, shit, this very, very integral part of basically all cooking, flour, I don't know how to make.
I'm pretty sure you just ground up the wheat until it becomes flour, but maybe not. Maybe
Not really. So basically, what you have to because you have to separate the wheat from the chaff, and that's an
well, I
important
know.
step.
I'm just saying. Essentially, it's just really just grinding. But
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah. After that, it's just grinding. Once you get all the bits that you don't want to eat out, like it's then just grinding and then sifting. And you have to use like the larger the sieve, the more wheaty, I guess the bread will turn out.
Hmm.
Because like the flour that we see has like, or that we typically use, is like basically at its like finest stage, where it's basically just the wheat semen.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I never thought of it like that. So
I mean,
thank
that's
you for
kind of what it
thank you.
is.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but thank you for the image in my
I
head
love
anyway.
I love that imagery. It's fun.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But
I don't know. I mean, I like especially like the ones that annoy me. There was like whenever it's when the guys do like the pasta and the sausage thing. Whenever like they have all the fancy equipment to do it with, though, and it's like,
yeah,
so is your audience people that have the money to buy all the equipment? Because it kind of seems like the people that are really interested in learning how to make this stuff probably, if they were, unless it's just bored housewives of their audience, I'm just like trying to figure out like what their audience really is, because it kind of seems like people that have the money to buy the expensive mixer and like the sausage grinder and all that stuff like that. That they probably just go out and or just go to restaurants and buy food, But
Yeah.
maybe.
I mean, it kind of depends. Sometimes those like wealthy housewives will like get bored and just want to learn how to do a thing and then do that. Um, uh, that's actually that's probably why that's probably their biggest audience, because I feel like people who probably can't afford those things aren't like looking for that kind of thing in the first place, because it turns out now that probably just buying frozen shit is cheaper than making shit from scratch now.
Not really. I mean, like even if I shop at one of our higher end with our food stamps with one of our higher end grocery stores, I could buy the ingredients for things a lot cheaper than I could buy them. I mean, it's like I want to make paella, like I was going to do for Thanksgiving. Like the paella ingredients honestly don't cost that much if you buy the ingredients. But if I were to go somewhere and actually try to like buy like as much paella as I'd be making, it would cost like $400. Like I mean, most places that sell paella sell it for like $50 a plate. So
Oh, okay.
I mean, there are some things that are like that. But, I mean, bread, you can make bread for almost nothing if you
Yeah.
have flour. I make amazing flour tortillas that like literally I think if I counted the cost of like the ingredients, it must be no more than like probably 30 cents for like the whole batch. You know, because it's just like 1 cup of flour and some water and like a little this and that, and then you just gotta let it rest. And then, but like, see, I like to make like these Texas style flour tortillas that are thick like flatbread or pancakes, and they're so
Ah,
freaking good.
okay. Yeah.
And you can't buy them anywhere. There's no place that sells them, so you have to make them if you want them. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I guess there are some frozen things that are cheaper. I mean, like it's probably a lot cheaper to buy like frozen corn dogs or mozzarella sticks or something. Those are probably a lot more trouble than they're worth. But
Or just broadly, I mean, if you're making meals for like one person, it's usually cheaper to.
oh, if you're making meals for one person, yeah. If you're making meals, I'm talking about making meals for a family.
Yeah.
So
Other than, yeah, like stuff like bread, yeah, bread is basically free. Not free, but like it,
almost, it's not
yeah.
far. It's not far from it. I mean, seriously, like tortillas, I can make like a whole bunch of tortillas for under $1 and a little bit of time. So
I was about to say, like, I mean, I think the most expensive things would be like, putting in things like eggs in your bread. Um,
even
that's
those aren't really expensive right now.
Yeah,
They
no,
did,
they actually,
they did go up pretty high during COVID.
yeah, they went down though. They're back down to like a reasonable price. Same thing with gas actually now. Like I know gas
Yeah,
is
gas went down to 250 yesterday. I was shocked. I couldn't believe
holy
it.
fuck.
That was the cheapest I've seen gas in like 3 years. So
I haven't seen gas that cheap since I lived in Tennessee.
I mean, neither are we in Texas. I mean, it's not like we've had like we have like it's just cheap gas in the south, something like that. It's been just as expensive, but it's come way down. I guess maybe people stopped driving for long enough that they finally decided like I guess we can't charge that much. I don't know. They
I
must.
think that's probably what happened, because the price going up for it is very rarely does it have to do with like the price needing to go up for their price margins. Oftentimes it has to do with our profits won't be as high this year, so we will up prices to keep our profits as high. Seems to be.
You guys want to see the ugliest T-shirt I've ever had for sale or ever seen? Period. This T-shirt is so hideous. I don't even know. I hope maybe someone will buy it, but
I mean, I'm sure someone will buy it.
Noah Smith just did an article on why groceries are expensive, and he said it's mostly fuel costs, bottlenecks, and like demand and supply.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of it's bottlenecks. My sister works in she works for like
and labor shortage too.
Yeah, my sister works in a she like basically coordinates a bunch of like truckers and they've been having like a ton of problems with that over the past few years. Basically, since COVID, they've just been having supply problems.
Yeah, logistics got really messed up during COVID.
Yeah.
My roommate worked in logistics.
Yeah, like there are genuine actual issues with logistics, and that's mostly due to like our system, or well, not even ours. I think it's just like world logistics. Logistics as a whole
Yeah,
is
it was.
it's such a thing that's like run off of such thin margins.
I ate the log as we're talking.
And for what it's worth, it doesn't have to be that way, but it is the way it does run. So, you know, we're kind of
By any chance, are either one of you fans of both A&W root beer and Japanese writing?
What's the second one?
Japanese writing.
Who?
I have a t-shirt it's like a tie-dye thing. It's like A&W root beer with like Japanese text on it.
Japanese writing. No.
It's got a stain on it though that I can get
pink
out.
type.
So this tiny little stain, which will keep it from anyone actually buying it. So I just thought, maybe if one of you guys is a big fan of it, I just no longer here. But
I do like A&W root beer. There used to be an A&W store
but you
near
hate
where I
the
live.
Japanese. I feel you.
I do also hate the Japanese. It's true. I really do. I hate anyone who's not American. That's really what it is.
Man, you must have been so happy back then when they did that whole thing with those bombs and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. Fantastic. Good choices. Actually, oh my god, there was a Sean video on the dropping of the nuclear bombs, which is actually like really interesting. It's like fucking 2 hours long because it's, you know, talking about why we dropped the nukes is a very, 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 very complicated topic. But it's, I don't know, it was interesting. I really enjoyed. It's like a really in-depth.
Whose video again?
Sean, it's that one guy that I've mentioned before.
Right, okay.
Yeah, who like he makes great YouTube videos, but you just have to ignore everything he says on Twitter. That's the trade-off, right? You have to watch his YouTube videos.
The Jordan Peterson dynamic, basically.
Yeah.
By the way, yesterday we got all those new viewers, and it was because Cascadian was double streaming to his channel.
Yeah.
So we need to get other people, like find other people that we could collaborate with that can double stream with us. I think that's going to be a good way to bring in new people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally. I don't know why. I guess it's Friday. People must be out. It's kind of like here. It's pretty sunny and stuff. I'm assuming people must be out doing staying at home or listening to streamer things or something. I don't know. It seems like just something we have anybody in the comments or anything today. Like we've been having
the conversation hasn't been
the comment section.
Yeah, I was gonna say we haven't been. Me and Jeff haven't been yelling back and forth this conversation, so it's probably less interesting.
You really think that it makes it better if people are yelling at each other? Like
no. I know that from just watching the other channels with the trolls on it. Like drama probably does, but I'm less interested in that. But I think the topic is just not relevant to a lot of people. It's random nerd stuff.
Yeah.
And if the topic were more tightened or focused, I think it would have a larger interest.
I think it would probably do us good to start, like at least a day or two in advance, like coming with prepared topics.
I try. I do have like this rough little framework where I see what the news is for the day. I pull some tweets. So I do try to come with topics that can drive conversation.
But then I come on, I slap that out of his hand. I'm like, fuck that shit. We're doing my thing now.
Well, it's your ADHD brain that sprays all over the place. So it's
also true.
Meshing that with something more topic focused.
It also might be worth. I mean, I don't know if it would be helpful to like also release videos, but like that would require a decent amount of editing and that kind of stuff. And
if y'all want to do it, go for it. I don't have the video editing skill, but I do admire it as an art form. So if there's somebody that wants to try their hand at it, feel free.
Nerdjack's really talented as a really talented editor.
I've given anyone has permission to use clips from this show if you want to like work it into.
He has used clips from the show in some of his videos, but I've been trying to talk to him about trying to like make like a video about some sort of like a video essay type thing or something, but. He's been really busy, and he does all of his editing on his phone. So,
Oh wow!
Oh, does he?
That's amazing, right there.
Honestly,
no, it is amazing that right
I
there.
can barely even do phone calls on my phone.
For real,
Yeah.
You're in line there.
I was about to say my phone is a Discord machine and also used for calling my mom. That's what I use my phone for.
Well, at least it's cheaper than back in the day. We used to say, anytime we saw anybody with like a MacBook, we used to say look a $3,000 Facebook machine.
I mean,
I didn't know anyone that actually used it.
I still make those jokes. I have one of the guys on my polykill. He's an Apple guy. He loves his Mac. He loves his iPhone. He loves Apple as a company, which is very cringe.
Why doesn't he marry it, and why doesn't he leave the polykill and go marry
Honestly,
Apple?
honestly, I mean, I will say I do think it's neat the amount of times that Apple will refuse to openly give the United States access to like backdoor stuff. I think that's.
But then they do it in secret.
Yeah, so, then they do it in secret, which is like.
How do you know they do it in secret if it's in secret?
It's been at least one time. It has come out that like even though they were making all those statements about how they were completely like they weren't giving up anything, they actually did.
They do give up. Yeah, they do give up data, though the data they give up is they do it in a roundabout way so that they can say, well, we're not actually just giving up data to the United States government, but like that's the effect of what's going on. So it's like their principled stance against backdoors for the United States government to gain data on, U.S. citizens is kind of a pointless principled stance because the United States is still gaining access to that data.
I never expected my data to be private or thought that it would be.
I mean, I think it's important. I think it's important that it is, but it's not like.
I mean, I completely agree. Like as I said before, whenever the Edward Snowden thing came out, it was like the least surprising thing in the world to me. I was just like, yeah, and
no shit.
Didn't we? I mean, really, like there's a part.
I can't believe anybody's using the internet and thinks that this is only going to be for their eyes and nobody else can ever access what they're doing on it.
I don't know why they think that. Like, I mean, I may just I grew up with the internet or something, but I've always been aware of the fact that it's not terribly secure. And it's
me too. Yeah. Like cordless phones weren't secure. We were picking up people's conversation with cordless phones, and you can tune into AM radio frequency and hear phone conversations.
Yeah, corded phones were secure. You could pick up a landline and listen to like the conversation in the house next door. I mean, technology itself has just never been that secure. It's just
yeah. I mean, I always knew, I guess, to use it responsibly and not do anything on it that I didn't ultimately want somebody to know about.
People are like, what do you mean all my nudes got leaked on the internet? Like I just kept them on my phone. Like, well, if that was really a concern, then maybe you don't put nudes on your phone. I don't know.
Don't take nudes. Period. Look, if you don't, if you have a problem with nudes getting leaked, don't take nudes. Or only take them on a camera that is not in any way connected to the internet, and never ever show that camera to anyone ever again. Or only to
the people that you want. You really want to see them. Of course, they're going to take them and share them anyway. But I'm just saying, like, it's like when all the actresses and everything got upset about it, and all I could think the whole time, whenever what was it? What do they call that? The fappening, right? That was the term they had for it.
It was
all
the
I could
fappening.
Think if like Jennifer Lawrence or any of those women had just come out and like owned it, and just been like, yeah, those are my tits, yeah, that was pretty fucked what they did, but that's what I look like, here's my tits, I mean, if they just owned it, they would have been, everyone would have been like, just thought they were total badasses, and like it would have ended like right away, and even the people that were all like, all hyperventilating about it would have like given them a lot of respect and probably like backed off of it, but no, they all whined about it, and so the hackers went after them harder. It's just like I don't understand like why people can't figure out. That's the kind of media literacy I don't understand the lack of these days, and all the social media and stuff like that. I'm not even a big social media person, and it's easy for me to understand how it works. I just don't understand like why it's so hard for like people that do nothing but social public things to figure out that the way that people work like that. It's just like getting offended over something like that is not going to do you any good. It never does.
Yeah, like
Never
you can
works out.
say it was fucked up, it shouldn't have happened, but like
Yeah, and it is fucked up, and it shouldn't have happened. I mean, I
yeah,
agree, but that's just not the way to deal with it in a way that's going to make
yeah,
you look better in the end.
it's just not a
Yeah.
it's not an effective way to stop it. I mean, yeah, like Chris, and we've talked about this. I still am. I think like the way that people, especially like Vosh, dealt with his controversy is like basically
Wait,
the
what
perfect
happened
way.
with Vosh?
Oh wait, do you not know about that? It was
No, I
fucking
don't know
forever
anything. I
ago.
don't keep up with Vosh.
There was I mean it's a that's like the one of the two controversies, that and the N word. But
Oh, I
basically,
didn't know about the N-word one either. You
oh
said the
yeah,
And,
no,
N-word?
and the J.K. Rowling telling her to shut
oh
up.
that one too. Yeah. Women shut up.
Yeah, I found it because it's up there on the thing.
But no, the big controversy that I'm talking about, Vosh basically was really creepy with this girl in DMs, and she was not appreciative of this, and Vosh came out and was like, "Yeah, I was really creepy. Shouldn't have did that."
Did she leak them?
I actually don't know if she leaked them or not. I do know she did come out and sit and talk about them. Vosh has a couple videos on it. Um, and I can't remember. And this was like a couple years ago. Um,
What was the N-word one? That sounds even more exciting.
yeah. So he was on a stream with some like
Brown people.
no literal Nazis, like people who call themselves neo Nazis. And basically he just like he called them N words because they were being dicks. And
What
yeah.
what effect is that supposed to have on a neo-Nazi?
Well, I mean, the idea was so. I'm not going to defend it because it's stupid, but the supposed goal was to basic because like when you're talking to like a Nazi, right? Like facts and logic isn't like how you win an argument with a neo-Nazi. You win an argument with a neo-Nazi, with a fascist, by coming off as more powerful than
Oh, I
them,
thought it was.
coming off as
I thought you won with.
If I were a neo-Nazi and I got the white kid to be racist, I would think that would be a point in my favor. Like, why would he use that tactic?
well, because they were like being like, oh yeah, I mean, I can't even remember. It's honestly, it's been so long ago that I don't.
And how come he still has his stream? Because people have been got taken off for less than that. Dr. Laura lost her whole show.
If I'm mistaken, I don't. It wasn't. He didn't say it on his stream. He was on their
Okay.
stream.
Oh,
And also,
okay.
this was he wasn't streaming on
But
Twitch
like,
at the time.
Destiny got thrown off for things he said on Twitter.
Still,
So
he
that
didn't
is
get canceled.
relatively, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that is weird. I don't know. I mean, he did at the time. He was also at the time he was a much smaller channel, so I presume it's one of those things where like it flew under the radar.
How does that fly under the radar? And they have their microscope on everything else.
Because because he wasn't very large, and he said it on like a Nazi channel. So like the only people,
Toilet bowl comes on machines and says it all the time. Like every other word out of his mouth.
does he?
Nothing happens. So I guess there isn't any kind of filter for that in the algorithms.
Yeah, there's not.
Me and Jeff went on a stream for that was like this like racist stream thing.
Oh yeah, chaotic reacts.
Chaotic reacts, and like because we thought, well, maybe we can go and be a voice of reason, and which we sort of did. It was kind of weird. We
were the voice of reason and TCPS.
What did TCPS do?
Oh, he debated with him for a long time. I left. He was
I did too.
Went with him for like an hour, trying to logically reason and explain.
I'm pretty sure TCPS probably just has a tougher constitution for bullshit.
Well, I was just bored after I came on. They were like, "So, what do you think about the racist trend?" Like, well, yeah, I think that races exist, but well, I don't understand why anybody would think. I think that races exist, but I don't see why anyone would think that one is better than the other one. And
they had this old racist white guy in a mask. He had like a
Oh
Zorro
my
mask
god.
and a hat
Of
on.
course. God,
Yeah.
those
And,
people
and
are
he
fucking
and
wild.
whenever I said this, he'd been like when we went on the stream, he was spouting like the most of like the Nazi-ish racist stuff. And I
Mhm.
said that one thing, and he was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I meant." And we're just like, "What?"
What?
It confused me so much. I was like,
Oh,
what?
they're all fucking nuts. They're all fucking nut jobs. Oh my god.
It's like that guy that came on yesterday. It's the streaming universe. That's what it draws those kind of people.
Honestly, that guy like seemed. I mean, he definitely did not come across as like someone who has it all together, but he came across as like at the very least cordial and like
Yeah.
He
not
was
a.
nice. I didn't think he was like rude or anything.
He wasn't unhinged. I think like he was no. So like
Mm.
he was he was hinged to reality by like one screw. The rest of the hinge was hanging off. Like he's on the edge. Like all it'll
Let's
take.
instead of like saying the hinges in with one screw, let's say it was kind of held together with like twist ties. But sure.
Yeah, there we go. He was held together with twist ties. Like I was worried that like at any moment he was gonna like the twist ties were gonna come across and he was gonna like fucking start reciting the 14 words or something. I mean,
Yeah,
probably
me
not,
too.
but
Me too.
with those kinds of like Christian whack jobs, like you never know. Like they could either just be really benign and just have had a really trippy experience, or they could, you know, that could be a front for like their weird, Christo-fascist kind of leanings. But
They were on Rowan's stream the other day too, the same time, and one of them said that he Googled atheist, like he did it as a search term in YouTube, and then he pulled up the live streams that it pulled up
yeah,
under that term, and Rowan showed up. So, like, I guess there are people out there that go and specifically look for atheist streams to go on.
yeah.
And the guy even said, he goes, my hobby is like going from stream to stream until I get banned or kicked.
Well, at
Which
least he's
is
honest.
That's a troll.
yeah, like that's just
At
like
least he's honest.
trolling.
At least he's upfront about what he's doing. I guess. I mean, it's better than you say about TBE, who insists he's on some sort of crusade for Orthodox Christianity or something.
Troll.
Yeah, he's
They're all
a
I-
troll.
Snafu.
I love
Smith,
I love
Thomas.
like recent whatever like I always see this with like Catholic converts, but I guess it's apparently a thing with Orthodox too, where it's like young guys who like have never been inside of a church in their lives, but like they really love Deus Vult memes, and they find one a Catholic fascist who like agrees with them on the fascism bit, and like they're like, ah, yes, I'm a Catholic now, and like
That does describe almost every ortho bro out there, so that's very accurate.
yeah, well, like
I'm
that's what Nick
fascist.
Fuentes is. Well, I mean, I'm specifically
Nick
talking
is a
about
Catholic fascist.
You could interchange some of the terminology with some other things, but it's basically the same formula that the ortho bros go with.
yeah, it's not necessarily like fascism, though. Some of the examples that I know of are, fascists. Just
Oh, right.
'cause-
I can't expect precision with terminology. I forgot.
I mean, no, fascism is a pretty, at least when I use it, I'm using it very specifically. I'm talking
Rhetorically.
about a very specific kind of thing. You might not agree. I mean,
No, I would agree that some of those guys are definitely a fascist leanings. I mean, I've heard them talk and say some pretty fascist.
Which
shit.
one is fascist from the panel verse?
Well, like some of those guys in like that critical whatever that one the racist stream we were on. Definitely were saying things that, I mean, maybe they weren't fascist, but certainly fascist adjacent. They were talking a lot about the Jews, for example. Adam Green's kind of a Nazi anyway. Maybe not. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe Nazi and not fascist.
I was gonna say when I talk about like Nazis, I'm specific. Like Nazi to me has to do. It's a fascist who's specifically like part of their ideology is the anti-Semitism. Like they are a fascist who is also anti-Semitic. That's at least the defining traits of at least neo-Nazism in sort of modern
Neo-Nazi.
parlance.
We
Yeah.
went through this with Hank the other day, where we pulled up the different definitions of fascism because he had this alternative, bizarre conception of it.
What was his
I
conception?
don't remember.
Because I usually like I mean I usually go by like I don't know if you know who Umberto Eco is.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love Echo. Name of
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Rose. Oh, it's Pendulum.
yeah. And his the 14 features of fascism. I can't remember the exact phrasing. The
Yeah,
14.
that's one of the things we pulled up, and I shared the link.
Yeah,
In fact, I
yeah.
think we went. I did a stream. I don't know if it was Hank or not, but I remember doing a stream where I went over that Echo document point by
Yeah,
point to
yeah.
show how most of those characteristics apply to the left currently.
Sure, but it's the point of that characteristic is that it's not any one of those or even all of them that makes somebody a fascist, but sort of a amalgamation of them sort of indicates fascism. Is part of the whole thing.
Centralization of authority under a dictator, capitalist economy subject to stringent governmental controls, violent suppression. It's like a centralization of authority. I think is it's an authoritarian form of government.
Yeah, specifically under a specific.
It's a specific group over the other groups.
Yeah, and then you have the whole like othering of certain
The
groups.
supremacy of certain groups based on characteristics such as race, religion, ethnicity, nationality, etc. And then they try to centralize power.
Yeah, usually under a dictator, though not necessarily always, but
Yeah.
Authoritarianism usually sort of.
Which that sounds like normal human tribalism just taken to an extreme.
Yeah, but
there's probably monkey tribes that centralize power and rule over other monkeys.
Yeah, but like it's other. You then also have to have other characteristics because again, there's no one characteristic that like makes someone a fascist. It's more of the existence of these characteristics, sort of that all intersect to create what we would describe as fascism. That's one of the reasons it's not because it's a political ideology and things like that broadly aren't precise in those kinds of ways, in the kinds of ways that we would prefer them to be. But that's just the nature of how political ideologies and people work.
I don't know ideologies. The ideologies I've seen are pretty precise.
Sometimes they can be, but not always. And also, especially given in the modern.
What is that beepy sound?
I'm sorry. I got to mute Discord. I guess it keeps beeping. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Because like there's definitely like fascism is absolutely, at least this is what we describe, is a more I guess modern conception, and especially in the modern day, obviously people don't want to be seen as fascist, given.
But if they are fascist, if they believe their group is superior and they should centralize power to that group, then just own it.
Well, I mean, I agree. They should own it. But, like, again, they're usually cowards. Or, alternatively, they understand that it's not politically viable to necessarily openly state that they are a fascist. Because, at least in the West,
well, I mean, if Nick
parlance,
Fuentes can do it.
Well, he doesn't call himself a fascist.
Oh.
Or he like kind of. Nick Fuentes is weird because in some ways he very much is crypto in a lot of those senses, but also he's very open in other ways. It's
my impression, like with the Gripers, was that they were very open.
Well, they're very open, but they're also liars. Is the important distinction? Like they're willing to lie about their positions whenever they think it will suit them, and they're willing to be open whenever they think it will suit.
Well, how do they get away with doing both?
Because
getting called on the contradiction.
Well, they do, but like they're not like an important political like force. Like
yeah, no, I don't think they are either.
Yeah, like there's such a fringe group that like, yeah.
Yeah,
they
I
can
think
do that.
extreme. Like I don't even want to say it's far right because, like I said, there's a similar type of authoritarianism on the left, but there's such an extreme fringe.
Sure, I don't
I
think
don't take it as seriously from the right as I do from the left.
the people quote unquote like on the left who usually have
Like
those fascistic
the tanky
the
people.
tankies, yeah. A lot of times their, I guess, quote unquote leftism usually involves pretty much exclusively co-opting the language and nothing else. Um, in my experience, like I know tankies, and like yeah, like honestly, they're usually agree with conservatives on especially a lot of social issues. They'll talk about degeneracy, you know, they'll talk about oh god, fucking they'll talk about how like um gay people have like they'll talk about the western show the western, you know, how fucking gay people are making the west weak and stuff. Yeah, like it's or well, they'll talk about how gay people are making the working class weak because that's their, you know, trying to smuggle that in instead of saying like, oh, western civilization, they're talking about the quote unquote working class, or they'll talk about the white working class. You know, I do not like when people who are quote unquote on the left talk about the white working class, because that is a it's it's just an indication
Because it's
that,
racist.
well, it is like, yeah, it like it ignores the fact that like at least in America, the working class, when we talk about the working class, we are talking about basically a very, very diverse group of people. Like working class people aren't just white or black or whatever. Working class people is most people in America, and
Mhm.
as a result is very, you know, includes a broad range of people, including people who are on the left or on the right, or who are white or black or Hispanic or whatever, who are gay, straight, religious, non-religious. The working class is a very broad term, and like talking about the white working class, like what they mean is like fucking, uh, uh, you know, uh, like like handyman. Like they mean electricians and plumbers and shit. And like
Rednecks. They mean
that's not even just white people. That's not even
I
predominantly
know.
white people. It's again, like it's all disingenuous bullshit that they're trying to push to sneak in a lot of their more fashy rhetoric, you know. Or well, I guess I should say their anti-degeneracy rhetoric, you know, because a lot of these, you know,
they
tankies
do
and
it because
stuff.
gay people are gross. They touch penises.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
hell, if you like look, if you like listen to like fucking Jackson Hinkle is like such a fucking bigot, just
I
broadly.
know.
Like
I
he's
know.
He's a tanky.
uh well, calling him a tanky would imply that Jackson Hinkle has
Tank.
beliefs
I'm just kidding.
and
Oh,
principles, and
That bitch is too supportive. This bitch is too supportive.
I'm of the opinion that Jackson Hinkle is
oh
a
man, he got banned from
grifter.
YouTube.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Jackson Hinkle's a grifter broadly.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I would not. I mean, I would call him a tanky only in that he uses the tanky rhetoric. Um, like I know people who are ideologically what I would describe as tankies, and they're. I mean, I still disagree with them, and I still think they're fucking nuts. But like, at the very least, they believe the bullshit that they're saying.
They piss me off because not one of them rides around in a tank, and I just, you know,
Honestly,
I just want to drive a tank. I just feel like I'll find a tanky and kind of be friends with them a little bit, so I could drive a tank once. But like, not one of them every one of them just like wants to talk about like racism or something. I don't give a shit. I just want to drive a tank.
or they want to defend Russia. That's the other big thing. Basically,
One of them did invite me into his septic tank, but that was not what I wanted to do at all.
God, and they love like defending Russia and shit too, which I that's like the big indicator. That's how you can like, I think,
What's their
really
position on Palestine then?
it kind of it kind of depends. On the person. So some tankies obviously are very pro-Palestine. However, the reason they're pro-Palestine is because they have like this American diabolism. Like they're just like America bad, and so we must oppose basically all America things because it's America. Um, so while they're pro-Palestinian, usually they're not pro-Palestinian in the ways that are necessarily good for other pro-Palestinian people. Because also, for what it's worth, tankies aren't necessarily not anti-Semitic. There's a decent amount of anti-Semitism within tanky communities, and so that has a decent amount of sway. However, there are also, tankies whose anti-Semitism doesn't take over their American diabolism, and some of them actually are even pro-Israel in some cases. Though usually that's mostly because they're also incredibly pro-Russia, and they defend the stuff that Russia's been doing in Ukraine, and so they like the IDF for allegedly doing war crimes, and they're like, yeah, that's cool, that's fine, just like what Russia's doing over there. It's cool, it's fine.
What country
I mean, you
would
gotta
they?
admit, Lip, those are some pretty cool war crimes.
What country would they want to live? Like, if they hate America so much, what is their ideal?
They love
country?
Russia. They love Russia.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't want to move there though.
No, they love like Russia, China.
They just want to admire it from afar.
Yeah, it again, their ideology isn't that they're necessarily pro-China, it's that they're anti-America. So they support China and they
But they
support
still
Russia.
want to live here.
Sure. I mean, I want to live here, and I think that a lot of things we do are bad, but I want to live here because I think we can change the bad things because we live in a democracy, and I think
You
that's a
don't sound as
possibility.
anti-America as they are.
I mean, I definitely,
He's not.
I
He's
mean,
not anti-American at all. I don't think.
yeah, like I wouldn't describe myself as anti-American. I oppose it when we do bad things, but I wouldn't describe that as anti-American because I want America to do good things rather than bad things.
I think we do. I think we do great
Yeah.
things.
Well, I mean,
I think
sometimes.
on the whole, America find itself more on the chaotic good side than chaotic evil.
Sometimes depends.
But it's all chaos, definitely.
It's definitely all chaos. That's true. I was going to say, I wouldn't describe the Iraq War as a good thing.
No, but I mean, I didn't say. I said generally that we do
Yeah,
more
we're definitely more chaotic neutral
things than chaotically bad things.
And the Iraq War, I remember it had an enormous amount of opposition from Americans.
Yeah, no, it did.
It had some great advertising campaigns behind it.
I was about to say, well, I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, while Americans broadly weren't necessarily for the Iraq War, the Congress, I guess not unanimously, however, overwhelmingly voted in favor of it. So that's kind of where my issue starts, which is the government was okay with it. And if the people weren't okay with it, but the government was, then the government isn't being representative, and I have an issue with that.
I mean, it's a shame
but if they're not being representative, the consequences for that is they get voted out of office.
Sometimes
that doesn't happen.
It's always
like there's no way to hold them accountable for the 4 years they're elected, but they only get those 4 years if they're not representatives.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like
unless you're Mitch McConnell and then you just turn into a turtle, right?
But they keep electing him. They could stop electing him at any time.
I mean, for what it's worth,
you're a turtle person. I think that's why.
I mean, a lot of that also has to do with like gerrymandering and stuff. That is a problem in America. For what it's worth,
yeah, but both sides benefit from that.
Yes, I'm aware.
Everyone can admit that we all hate Jerry. That's for sure. But
that is true. Nobody likes Jerry, and nobody likes it when he meanders either.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do think gerrymandering is broadly bad because it's never done in an effort to make our system more representative. It is done to keep the people who are in power in power.
And even
kinda
that's not foolproof. I mean, the people
No,
still could
I kind of
change
can't
their
believe that
vote.
gerrymandering ever became a thing. I'm not sure like what the logic behind it was. It just sounds like a bad idea on paper.
part of it is basically to like, so like the idea would be that like, as like new communities grow up, like and expand and stuff, you'd want to sort of keep a community voting block together, right? Like say like this neighborhood, uh, 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 as like this neighborhood expands, you want to make sure that like the expansions of it, because it's a part of this neighborhood, stay within that voting block.
I don't
Um,
know. Sometimes mom and dad get divorced, and it's not the kid's fault, and they just have to learn to deal with that.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not saying I'm opposed to gerrymandering
Yeah, I know you are. I know.
fundamentally, but I do understand the arguments for it existing in the first place. I just think that we should have a better and nonpartisan and more nonpartisan manner of determining voting districts.
Some states do. I know
Yeah, no,
Washington State does.
yeah, there are several states that
By
have
like
started.
a third party committee or board or something.
Yeah, that's usually that creates more representative districts for people, and that's just broadly better for the American people. It's usually not as good for our two existing parties, because they like having that control over being able to control certain areas, and like lock them in, sort of. But I think that in and of itself is detrimental to our democracy.
No, yeah, I agree. And both sides do it. It pisses me off on both sides of it. It's like I
Yeah.
don't care if it's Republicans or Democrats doing it. It's stupid on both sides. It's just like the way that they'll draw like just like a little like line around like this one little part because they know there's conservatives or Republicans or Democrats there or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just not how that should work.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be allowed to do that. But
Well, it can be changed at any time if it's important enough to the voters.
Well, the problem-
Has that ever been up for a vote? Has that ever been up for a vote for the public?
They could change the representatives in office.
Well,
like there are other states that have changed. That have
Yeah,
gone
no.
through the
Yeah.
method.
Yeah, and
So it
and that
depends on
kind
the
of
political will of the individual states or districts. Or
and that
counties,
kind of
whatever.
thing has to come at a state level, because unfortunately you won't be able to get like a big you won't be able to get like the Democrats or the Republicans to be anti-gerrymandering, because it won't be able to get them to be actually anti-gerrymandering, because both of those parties benefit from it. However, what you will be able to do is get more local representatives to oppose the effects of gerrymandering and to be more implementing things that are more representative of the people who live there, because that's just kind of, it's easier to get together people on a local level than on a national level.
I mean, and I agree in general. Like we do have the systems in place in our country, Jeff, to to replace these people and to try to change these things. But there are things that come up, like for example, like the whole thing with the stock trading thing with like Nancy Pelosi and all those state senators and congressmen that were clearly doing insider trading and stuff like that, and making all this money. That there was a lot of support from the American people and even amongst other members of Senate and Congress to stop that, and yet they just kind of waited until people forgot about it and then just kind of moved on.
Yeah, that happens in politics all the time.
Yeah, and that's because the people in power who are currently in power benefit from the things that are currently helping them, and so they don't want to change them because they benefit from them, right or left, whether or not they're Democrats or Republicans.
And where would we get our millions of dollars from? It's like
yeah, and so voting in a Republican in place of a Democrat wouldn't actually change that, or vice versa, or voting in a different Democrat won't actually change that, because as we've seen with basically every potentially good politician, by the time they actually get power, their more principled stances kind of fade away. Cough, cough, Obama.
Cough, cough, AOC.
Cough, cough, AOC. Cough, cough, half the fucking the squad.
Yeah.
Fucking, oh my god. I have no idea what the
Cough,
squad.
cough, Bernie Sanders. Cough,
Yeah,
cough, everybody. Yeah.
I have no idea what progressive Dems like think they're doing by like voting alongside those like that recent stuff where the Congress said that like fucking anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism and stuff, and like fucking everyone except for 2 Congress people voted yes on it, and it was like I don't know, I don't know what progressives thought they were doing, but like I mean, all the progressives have basically also guaranteed that not only is the Democratic Party doomed, but like the progressive side of the Democratic Party is also doomed because of this. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Good.
I don't know. Well, I mean, you can
It
say
is,
good, but like
it is,
the Republicans are also doomed. So like,
it is probably largely good. I mean, anything that causes doom to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party.
No, to the far right, Republican extremists and the progressive extremists.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anything that does
But
damage.
the mainstream Republican is part of the fabric of America, as is the mainstream Democrat.
well, I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about
Oh.
politicians, though. Like the Democratic Party, the politicians, the party as a whole is like fucked. Same with the Republicans. The Republicans are fucked because of Trump. Trumpism has like basically fractured.
Trump's not going to be a problem for much longer.
Well,
I don't know why people are still worrying about it.
I really hope not too, but I just don't trust it yet.
I've read the indictment. Like if that doesn't stick, then there's something very wrong with our system.
He's not going to find a way out of it. He's found a way out of so many things before.
I don't. I've read the indictment, and it's pretty.
It's also not just that. It's also not just like about like necessarily Trump, but it's about the support for Trump in the Republican Party. Like,
yeah, the Republican Party is definitely split. It's been that way for a while.
But like the split is becoming worse, I guess.
They have a reckoning to go through.
So do Democrats, for what it's worth. And Democrats' reckoning, I think, is going to come first, because the Democrats' reckoning is going to be basically
when Trump gets voted in jail somehow. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, or like if
I think that's a ridiculous scenario.
It's not illegal and it's not impossible. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that it's definitely going to happen. I'm just saying that it could happen, and it would be ridiculous and it would be very detrimental.
Have you read the indictment? Is this based on anything?
I have read the indictment, and as much as the indictment does make a very good case, I have the Teflon Don has gotten out of crazier scrapes than this before.
I don't see how he's going to get out of it. I just don't see, after reading the indictment, how he's going to get out of this.
I don't know. For all I know,
he didn't even get the civil trial that they just did.
I'm saying Biden might even pardon him.
Where are you getting that from?
It's been floated. It's been floated in political spaces for a while now.
I have seen this, and I don't think
it's going to happen. I think it's a long shot, but I'm saying it could happen.
If it happens,
well, anything could happen. I'm going by what's likely to happen.
I'm saying this is the world where the game show host got elected in the first place, and that's why I'm saying it could happen. That's why.
Yeah, like we are in the worst possible timeline, so it is worth noting that.
It's the worst possible, but it's not the best.
we're in the timeline where Trump...
I don't know how anyone can read that indictment and think that Donald Trump has a serious chance of anything after he goes to trial for that.
Well, it's not so much that, it's that like whether or not that matters to, like, for instance, Trump voters or Republicans. I do think it does matter.
I think it's going to matter to enough sane people.
Well, he's still polling ahead of anybody else.
Yeah. Though in
he hasn't gone to trial for that indictment yet.
In this specific instance, I think the reason why he's polling ahead is because Biden has been basic, other than his support for the unions, has basically fucked up everything. His support for the unions was like good and great, and then he like fucked it up in every conceivable way.
It was good and great on whenever he would say things, but then in the actual action of supporting the unions, he did not do that, and and
Actually,
the railway worker union thing.
okay, yes, that one. I was actually going to talk about his.
The auto worker union one, I haven't followed that one, but the railway worker one was when I followed someone, and like that one was pretty. It seemed like that was like an easy slam dunk, and like,
Yeah,
not
and
take it.
I was actually talking about Biden's appointees for the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, have actually been like pretty decent. They've actually made some strides, which again, I'm reticent to like attribute that to Biden because that's just like people he did appoint people who did good things. However, like he has also lost the 18 to 35 demographic just kind of broadly, pretty much forever.
They don't vote anyway.
They first off,
They're part of the reason that Biden's in office, aren't they?
Yeah,
they were a pretty big voting bloc this last.
They were a huge swing. They were a huge reason as to why Biden got into office in the first place, and what's happened is worse than just Biden because it's not just that the 18 to 35 don't like Biden; it's that the 18 to 35s don't like Democrats. Period. Like,
good.
I mean, they don't like
I mean, that's like potentially good, but like the problem is we don't have another good alternative.
I trust people who are seeing the same thing with Democrats that I am, as someone who left the party a few years ago. So it's hard for me to fault people for not liking Democrats.
No, I'm not like faulting them for not liking Democrats. It's entirely on the Democrats that people don't like Democrats. I fully agree. However, when our alternative is like,
don't say it's not going to be Trump if that's what you're thinking.
I mean, just MAGA hats, just broadly. Like,
oh my God, I can't believe that's.
I'm sorry, like Trumpism,
MAGA hats affect you that much?
Well, sorry, what I mean is like Trumpists, like the people who ideologically have aligned themselves with Trump.
How many of like what percentage of America do you think those actually are?
Who are like ideologically aligned with Trump, who like vote. I would say
even, you know what, Pew even did this poll.
Polling
broke it down. It's like 7% or something of America. Let me look it up.
The polling the other day, the poll I saw the other day had him at like 60% compared to Biden at like 40 something.
I mean, like, first off, like Trumpists, the Trumpism, that kind of stuff.
The populist right is 11%. The religious right is about 10%. And you have a bucket called committed conservatives, which are less Trump supporty, but they probably would vote for Trump, and that's at 7%. So at most, you're talking about a quarter of America.
Well, considering how like a large portion of America doesn't vote, a quarter of Americans in total could. I mean, like, okay, even though Donald Trump did lose in 2020, he got a metric shitload of votes. And that was like with Biden.
The turnout that Biden got, then
like, why are we talking about Trump? Because he's not going to be.
Because I'm more talking about people who are. Because it's people who are ideologically aligned with Trump that worry me.
But if
more
he's
than
not
Trump
on the
himself.
ballot, why does it matter? What?
Because people who are ideologically aligned with him are still going to do some of the bad things he wanted to do, and they'll probably.
But none of them are polling well, to be fair. So
none of them are polling well. But the problem is, if Biden,
all they can do is vote. Like you were, they're going to vote for a Republican candidate.
I mean, I am worried that like a Republican will get in office. Yeah, that is a concern for me.
Oh yeah, not. I mean, there are some candidates that have me more worried than others. Like I wouldn't want Vivek or probably even Nikki Haley.
But I don't think. I mean,
but it doesn't fill me with horror. It's not like the end of American democracy.
I don't think it's going to be the end of American democracy, but it's bad. I'm with you on that. It's not going to be the end of American democracy.
I personally don't think anything's worse than 4 years of Trump. and we
I know.
survived that.
I wouldn't mind Tulsi Gabbard. No, I know she's not popular, but
Oh no, not her.
She's
I
not.
think
No, God,
I'll
no. She's a
probably vote
fucking.
Democrat to keep her
She's a
out.
fucking Russia simp.
at least she's cute. I don't know. It's better
I
than
mean,
anybody. It's better than
that's
it's the
fair.
best thing you can say about anybody else.
I don't know. I go off of
Anything
substance.
good about anybody else. So
I mean, that's fair.
I
The rest
like
of
her.
the
I like her rogue streak, her like X-Men rogue white streak thing. I think
Yeah.
it makes me maybe she has superpowers. I don't know.
maybe her superpower is sucking Vladimir Putin's dick from America.
I mean, but back before the Russia stuff started, like, I mean, I did must admit she did kind of go, but like the interviews I saw with her on Rogan and stuff like that, I thought she seemed pretty all right back then. I mean, I didn't think she was that.
I don't trust her one bit. Not one bit. I don't
know.
think she's her own
I don't
person.
understand like where the lack of trust with her comes from. She was a senator or congressperson for a long time. She served in the military as a medic, and she's very anti-war, and she's very left. I don't know. I don't.
Okay,
understand,
Well,
like,
I'm
I mean-
not anti-war, so
Well,
we're
also,
not aligned
like,
right there.
she's not. I wouldn't call her so much anti-war as she is anti-America intervening in other countries doing wars, which broadly speaking I can support, but like at other times, obviously, like I'm not I'm not I'm not so anti-war as to oppose us, say for instance, broadly defending Ukraine from an invasion. Now, I'm not saying that like the way we have acted has been at least in line with what I would want, but like the idea that we would support our allies when they're invaded by other countries, I do support, but that's not necessarily being pro-war in my estimation, at least.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going out to any rallies to support her or anything. But I don't think she's as bad as some people are making her out to be. That's all. I think she's better than Nikki Haley or Vivek.
I mean,
or
that's the bar is really low there, though. So like,
yeah, it's a low bar all over the place. What she's better
Yeah,
than
that's
Kamala
true.
too. So you know what? I mean,
Yeah.
is it even like
you mean Cop Mala? Ha ha.
yeah, Kamala exactly? I mean,
Fucking lady who laughs about putting people in
she has a
jail.
few things I agree with her on. There's so many of these candidates that I don't even know what they stand for in the first place, let alone agree with them anything. Vivek is just like a weird talking box that just says odd things that occasionally I think that he thinks are going to get him applause points, even if they don't. It's just like I know, and like before he started campaigning, I saw a couple of interviews with him that made him seem sort of reasonable. When he went into campaign mode, he turned into a
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, like same thing with fucking DeSantis. Like before he actively started campaigning, it seemed like there was an effort to make him come across as like a human being or something, but like,
or at least a principled person. Even if I didn't agree with his principles, at least he seemed principled. But now, yeah, as soon as he started campaigning, like all that went out the window. Now it's just like, what gets me the applause? What gets me the votes?
yeah, and oh god, his the thing with his hands where he's trying to imitate Trump, like very clearly and evidently, like it's so clear and evident that he's trying to pull in the Trump voters in very deliberate kinds of. It's same with Vivek, right? Vivek does the same thing, where
Vivek's better at it.
He is better at it.
Vivek imitates Trump a lot better.
He does.
I'm afraid Vivek might be might be Trump, but worse actually.
I mean, definitely. Well, I think because I think Vivek is, to me, Vivek seems to be more ideologically interesting than Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump's ideology is like whatever gets me applause. Like
Vivek does actually seem to have an ideology, which is kind of frightening. So.
Yeah, that's a little more frightening to me than like a dude who'll just do whatever the fuck it takes to get applause and also hates Obama. Like I guess no. Trump's ideology was whatever gets me applause and hating Obama. That was.
I mean, I hate Obama too, so I mean, that's I guess the one thing I had.
Well, but he hated Obama largely. I mean, I guess we don't know why. We don't know why, but like it seems that Donald Trump didn't really like Obama just because Obama made fun of him that one time.
Part of the birther movement, even before.
Yeah.
Even before he ran.
Yeah, which
he used to be a Democrat.
I want to say one thing to the birther movement. because I always, as soon as the birth of movie thing happened, I thought it was one of the stupidest things I'd ever heard. It was
Yeah.
honestly so far beyond the pale of like.
It's not any more stupid than the conspiracy theories we hear on here, though.
I think it was until they released that stupid fucking PDF of a birth certificate that where you could turn the layers off and see where they edited it from, and I was just like, is this like a CIA psyop thing? Are they trying to make us believe that it's fake? I mean, what the fuck is this shit? Did anybody else download the thing? It was like on the government website. You could download the PDF of the birth certificate, and they didn't rasterize the goddamn thing, so you could just go in and turn the layers off and see how it was just a blank with a blank. And I think there was a couple fields filled in, but they clearly just made the thing, and it had the date of when its creation of it was on. Yeah. It was not an official birth certificate at all. It was a complete fake. And like, why did they do that? I mean, because like that's the only time I ever even considered that it might even be remotely true. And I still don't think it's true, but I'm just like, how could they be that sloppy? I don't know. I always that always pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean, like it's literally just a conspiracy theory that like was basically peddled by people who didn't like Obama because he was black.
I know. Like that's what I thought too. And also, I thought like the whole idea, like even if it had been true, what a disaster it would be if they'd actually been able to prove it or something. That would have caused so much chaos and so much distrust in the government. It would have been a bad thing on every single level. You know, I don't, and I'm not saying I think it's true, but I'm saying when they released that PDF thing, it even made me go pause, be like, did they make this up? Like, I mean, why would they do this? Like, this would have been this is like a 18-year-old graphic design student could have done a better job. I have no idea how our U.S. government fucked things up that badly sometimes. It's just beyond me. But yes, I still don't believe that Obama was born in Kenya, or his name was really what was it, Barry Sortera or something like that. They kept saying.
Oh my God.
That was one I never really understood. I never got where that one came from. I even tried to look up a few times.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like with conspiracy theories, you don't really attempting to look at them rationally doesn't let you. I mean, you can, but it won't give you any better understanding than like understanding, I guess, the underlying ideologies of the people who are perpetuating them.
Sure. You know, I mean, like, I agree with that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I always thought it was just another silly. It was like flat Earth, whatever. It's just another conspiracy, you know, this or that. But they whenever the government does things like what they did, it actually gives credence to those conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
And it makes even someone who never believed in the first place, like me, kind of go like, "What the fuck? Like, how could they be that stupid?" You know, I mean, like, obviously, I mean, if they had to fake a birth certificate.
So what is it? You don't believe he was born in?
No, I totally believe that he was born in the United States. I just don't understand the U.S. government fucked up putting out a birth certificate that people could download so they could see that he was really born in America. I don't understand they fucked it up that badly.
How did they fuck it up?
They put out they on the government website. You could go on and download a PDF of the birth certificate, right? And as a graphic designer myself, if you took the PDF, you open it in Acrobat, and in Acrobat, it's like there's like it works like Photoshop. There's layers on it. You could literally click off the layers, and you could see how it was. The layers were filled in by computer. This was not a scan. It was made to look like a scan of the original birth certificate, but it wasn't. It was fake. And also, it had a creation date of like 2 weeks before they put it out. And now that creation date could have been from if the layer thing hadn't been there, it could have been from the scan, and the scan of the document could have been where the creation date came from. But not but with the layer thing, it just made the whole thing make zero sense.
Well, I'm on Snopes right now, and they're saying it's false.
Well, I saw it with my own eyes.
And they go into the layer issue, and I'm reading about it now. They're saying the claim that the birth certificate is fake is false.
Sure. I mean, I think we all agree that the birth certificate is not fake.
The primary arguments advanced to demonstrate that the certificate was forged were claims that some textual elements of the certificate were anachronistic and that the existence of layers found when the PDF file was opened with Adobe Illustrator proved that it had been altered. All of these arguments are erroneous. And then they go into great detail to explain why.
Okay. I don't trust Snopes, but I do trust my own eyes on that one. And I'm not saying that I think that Obama was born outside of the
Well,
country.
have you read their breakdown of why it's erroneous before you
No,
say
I
you
haven't. But I can imagine what it is, and I know the kind of things they would say, and I know the
Well,
different.
if you want to believe it, go ahead and believe it. But I'm willing
I
to
don't
believe that
believe that he was
people are.
born in Kenya. I believe he was an American-born person. I don't have any doubts about that. My
But you
issue
believe the
is how
birth certificate was
stupid they
fake
were.
that the White House put online,
Okay.
and Snopes is saying that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, Snopes is saying so. Tremblay explained that the scanner optical character recognition software attempts to translate characters or words into photographs and text. He said the layers cited by the doubters shows the software at work and nothing more. When you open it in Illustrator, it looks like layers, but it doesn't look like someone built it from scratch. If someone made a fake, it wouldn't look like this, he said. Some scanning software is trying to separate the background and the text and splitting elements into layers and parts of layers.
I mean, I
He
was only a professional graphic designer for like 8 years or so. It's not like I would know anything about it,
He
So,
says that during the scanning process, instances where the software was unable to separate text fully from the background led to the creation of a separate layer within the document. This could be places where a signature runs over the line of the background, or typed characters touch the internal border of the document. I know that you can scan a document from a scanner, and most of the time it will appear as one piece, but that doesn't mean that there's no software that's doing this kind of stuff, he said, adding that it's really quite common. And this guy is a Adobe certified expert, allegedly.
wouldn't be easy. Wouldn't easily be difficult to get someone to make a bunch of jargon like that. I worked with PDFs, Illustrator, Photoshop for over 8 years professionally, in addition to
So
other
you
stuff.
think he's
I know
wrong,
how.
or he's lying, or he
No, I mean,
knows less than you do?
I understand what you're saying, Chris. I'm just saying, like, this explanation does seem like, it, from what you have explained as to how it worked, how you saw,
I
like,
have scanned
it would.
documents into Illustrator before. It does not do that. It does not. What he's saying right there is a lie. Unless
Okay,
unless, unless they use a special version of Illustrator or Adobe or Acrobat that no one else has access to, which I guess is possible since they're the government. But I mean, come on. And I'm not
so
saying
you
that
don't
proves
you don't believe him? What he's
conspiracy.
saying right
I'm
here.
not saying it proves a conspiracy. I'm saying that I think that it was sloppy and stupid of our government to do something that was so obviously easy to fix. That's what pisses me off.
Sure, and I do agree that, like, what this guy is explaining as to what happened, why there were separate layers, was basically a thing that perhaps they could have fixed, because it does seem that it was an issue with, like, scanning software, and they could have fixed it, which would have removed this entire conspiracy, or at least this specific one, from being perpetuated. But they didn't do that, and I think that's silly. But, like, this explanation to me seems to be, like, reasonable. I understand that, like, software can do these kinds of things, um, especially when you're talking about, like, like, software where it's like scanning and stuff, where weird shit like that happens.
I mean, I've done so much scanning and so much work in those programs, but I've never seen
Yeah,
anything like that.
I have never seen this issue or
It
experienced
doesn't
it.
mean
I
it
also
can't
haven't
happen
done.
because you've never seen it. Doesn't mean it can't happen.
No. What I'm
Sure,
saying is, like,
it's just that it happens just the one time when the government. But I'm just saying,
It
like,
didn't just happen. The guy says it's quite common.
okay, well, I guess I was really lucky for a long time.
yeah, and I mean,
Or
it
maybe you're
says
really good.
his name is John Claude Tremblay. It says he's a leading software trainer and Adobe certified expert who has years of experience working with and teaching Adobe Illustrator. That's who
That's
Snopes
obviously a
used
fake
to say
name. If
this.
it's Jean Claude Van Tremblay, I might believe, but Jean Claude Tremblay, clearly fake.
Clearly fake. Clearly is a fake person, obviously.
That was just a joke. Really, I was.
No, I know.
I still, I do.
Going
I
on.
still, it's still like that. That's one of those things where, like, I just expect better of the government. I
Sure.
expect them to lie better than they do. If the government's going to lie effectively. Don't come up with stupid shit
So
like.
you think this was intent? They intentionally,
No,
faultily
I think they were sloppy
create a
and lazy.
conspiracy?
I think they were sloppy and lazy, which is almost
Well,
worse.
you said lying. That's the way you said. If you're gonna lie convincingly.
No, I
And
was
now you're
saying, like,
saying
I
sloppy
said,
and
I
lazy.
said I expect more than this. I said I also expect them to lie efficiently, like whenever, like what they did with, like, the Benghazi thing, when it wasn't a big deal, but when they came out with this stupid fucking story about about how it was caused by some racist YouTube video that nobody had ever
But
seen.
I'm confused if you think the birth certificate was a lie or sloppy and lazy, because they don't seem to be the same.
The birth
thing.
certificate was sloppy and lazy. I was just saying the lying thing was a separate comment.
But do you think there was lying involved as well?
In the birth certificate thing, probably not. There could have been, but I don't. I refuse to attribute to malice what can be easily attributed to stupidity, and this was almost certainly stupidity.
Okay, that's what it seemed like it was.
Yeah, it seems like it was like a whatever an error in like software engineering that
Like for something as important as that.
But this stuff happens in tech all the time. Like even with
it happens in tech with maybe like with interns or people their first day. And I'm just saying which is probably what happened. Yeah. But why give
it even happens on StreamYard
for an intern their first day?
I get emails from StreamYard all the time about little bugs that they caught that they're working on.
Well, yeah, but that's different. That's not the same thing. I'm talking about the functionality of Acrobat has been, even though it's been updated many times over the years, and even I was using it regularly back then at this time, it has not the functionality, the scanning and layering function has not changed very much at all in the last.
But that expert guy says that this happens. This is not like a fluke.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, like I said, like I consider myself to be somewhat of an expert in these programs as well. So, I mean, I guess his expertise is better.
But your expertise is your experience doing it.
Yes.
Not the whole comprehensive experience of all Adobe users. So you may not have encountered it in your experience, but that doesn't rule out that it does happen.
I suppose. I disagree, but yeah, but that's fine. We can agree to disagree with that. I'm not. It's not like it doesn't make me that. I'm not mad at you guys. I just it's just things like that piss me off about the government because I feel like it just makes it seem like how many brain cells could it possibly take to do something this simple?
It seemed like it was the software.
Yeah, like it seems like they just didn't correct.
No, this is what we call a 10D10 1T error. That's what we call that. 10D1.
Yeah. And an idiot error. Yeah. No, I get you.
This was a human error. It should have been checked and double checked by the fucking FBI, CIA, whoever, to make sure that it was foolproof, so that they would stop this ridiculous fucking conspiracy theory in its tracks. But instead, that they handed off some intern or something like that, or did it on purpose just to see for shits and giggles, just to watch the conspiracy theories twist in their chairs more. I don't know which one it is, but
I don't necessarily think it was that.
I don't really think it was that either. I'm saying that. I mean, that's my only other.
Well, it obviously it has you very emotional. Whatever they did.
Let's say
this guy's explanation seems reasonable to me.
Now, if the
government has done far worse.
If it had been the CIA, then I might be convinced that they may have done it for shits and giggles. But any other part of our government,
y'all really don't trust your country.
I do trust my country. I don't like the CIA.
Matter, why did they even need to scan it? Well, all they had to do was take a photograph of it and upload it.
A scan of it probably would have been more legible, and so thus you would have had fewer.
Scanning is like the default method for every document I've had to upload. Like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say they also probably
raise any kind of suspicion to me that they opted to scan it.
They also probably already had the scans of it. Like they probably didn't even have the physical copy. The physical copy was probably like
forged a few years back. Yeah, I agree.
was the physical copy was probably like in the bottom of fucking Obama's shit. Like I bet you like Obama didn't even have like easy access to his physical birth certificate.
He didn't even have the papers.
I can't believe we spent an hour on Obama's
Did we spend an hour on it?
No, we just spent an hour.
Feels like it. If we're doing the movie at 3, do y'all want to end it so we can take a break and get ready for that?
Never, but yeah, sure.
I probably won't be doing the movie. I'm playing the game of the year tonight with my girlfriend. So the Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It is. We added like a bunch of mods and stuff because there's a bunch of quality of life stuff.
If I had the money to buy it, I would buy it and and join your party or whatever and try to.
Oh, by the way, I have a meeting tomorrow at our normal streaming time, so we'll have to do it like 2 hours later. So 4:00 your time.
No, that's fun.
So yeah, we'll be on 2 hours later tomorrow, and we're back tonight and after the movie at 7 p.m. Central.
Aw, I just got a gift from my girlfriend. I just got my Christmas gift from my girlfriend. Oh, she got me Pathologic too.
That's a game.
Yeah.
Oh,
That seems sweet until you start playing it, and it
Yeah. Well, no. It's the second one, so it's the one that's like an actual reasonably playable video game.
yeah, I know. I thought the same thing until I started trying to play it.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll
It's
see
not
how.
bad. Okay, conceptually it's brilliant, but it is so much to just like do stuff in. I highly recommend Disco Elysium instead. But I mean, try. I got through about half of it, and I just still got to the point where I was just like, I just don't want to be here anymore. It's just such a depressing game. It's
Oh, I
depressing
mean,
in a way that is not like a fun, depressing world to be in. It's depressing in a way that makes you feel
it's
bad about
it's
everything.
Russian media. Have you read or seen Russian media?
Well, I mean, like, well, I guess Disco Elysium isn't Russian. It's like Eastern, East. Well, it's kind of like Ukrainian, Russian, whatever. But
Yeah.
it manages to be simultaneously about a drunk and about socialism versus fascism, and also about a murder mystery, and also about disco pirates in the desert. And I just think that it's just. Whereas Pathologic is about essentially it's about people dying and the fact they're going to die and there's nothing you can do about it and,
Yeah.
and then you get to do it again.
And again and again.
Yeah, and it's so like I mean, but tell her that I said like I played it and it is objectively a well-made good game,
Yeah.
even though it made me slightly want to kill myself. So
Fair, valid critique. Anyways, I'll head off. But y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all probably tomorrow or Sunday.
Well, I'm going to, but not because you told me to.
Yeah, good. Good. I wouldn't listen to me either. Okay, I don't even listen to me. Anyways, y'all be well.
Good night. Bye. I can't hear you, Jeff. You're muted.
oh yeah. I told him Happy Hanukkah. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go get some food started and get ready for the movie. So I'll meet you on the Discord at 3ish.
Happy Kwanzaa. Or whatever. It's Hanukkah, right?
Yeah.
All right. Later on, man.
Okay. And Friday's usually our movie night. We watch a movie, and then we do a stream afterwards. Partly to talk about the movie, but it usually ends up being about every random topic. So if you want to watch the movie, it's called 13 Conversations About One Thing, and you can catch us at 7 p.m. Central for the live stream afterwards. So if you want to be part of the movie, just contact me. All right. Let me find. Damn, what was the song? Okay, here it is. And happy Kwanzaa Hanukkah, everybody.